swear.
I'm curious.
Like,
I'm curious though how people would do detention nowadays. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
oh, detention.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
There
obviously you guys
are-
don't have those though.
Log in after school for detention.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Oh my god.
Hey there, welcome to the Gluten-Free Organic Thoughts podcast, where you are encouraged to express your natural thoughts and views through casual, meaningful conversations that hopefully can lead to learning and understanding new perspectives. To find out more info, visit www.gfothoughts.com. Now, here are your hosts, Michael Wong and Robert Din. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Gluten-Free Organic Thought Podcast. My name is Michael Wong, and for today's episode, we have someone that's going to tell us how it's going back to school, it's going on, and then how they're handling pandemic in 2020. So we have Michelle, a good friend of ours, and she's going to be here sharing her experiences, pretty much live during COVID and summertime, and then how she prepped for this school season. And always with me, Robert Din, co-hosting it.
Hey guys, yeah, Robert, happy to be back. This is gonna be good insight on like how kids are learning these days. I don't know, like it's been so long since we've been in school, so
Yeah, way too long.
Oh, things have changed. Let me tell you. Let me count the ways.
All right,
yeah. So first, what we're gonna do, we're gonna like see what we're drinking, right? So
Robbie, you wanna start?
I have some rosé.
Wait, already Rosé? Wait, what time?
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
10
what time is
a.m.
it?
All right. Whenever it's
the
an
weekend.
early show,
It's the weekend,
whenever it's
right?
an early show, I don't know. I was gonna get like a mimosa, but like I don't even have orange juice in the house, so
Oh,
I need
come
like
on,
a
man.
sparkling rosé instead.
You gotta
What do
get
you
to the
have?
grocery store.
So Michelle, what do you have?
I'm doing my regular teacher drink, cold ice water, crushed ice. Got a little
Hey,
fancy
how
today.
humid is it right now in South Florida?
It's pretty gross. It's pretty humid. Everything gets sticky if you leave it outside. It's
Pretty bad, huh?
definitely the windows. If it's really cold inside, get foggy and like a little,
That's
misty
why I had to
there,
move
so.
out of Florida.
I
It's
don't
just
miss the
too
humidity at all, by the
humid.
way. I do not miss that humidity. let me tell
Yeah,
you.
it's like a
I hate
killer.
walking
Like,
outside and sweating.
I was
Well,
just
your
gonna
glasses
say-
get fogged up.
Yeah, the sunglasses are really annoying to wear right now. Yesterday I was packing up my home because I'm getting ready to move tomorrow, and I had friends over, and one of them brought her daughter, and she was like, "You're sweating." I was wearing my mask. She's like, "You're sweating." I'm like, "No, honey." I'm like, "My skin is oily. It's humid." I'm like, "You'll learn more about that later."
So I'm having
Struggle.
my typical coffee at 1 p.m. This is still my first cup, so I'll get to Robert's stage a little bit later today, but we'll see. Yeah.
What my stage? This is like a brunch early morning drink. Like this is what you drink in the morning.
Wait, this is your pregame for brunch, right? I think so.
Yeah, this is like pregame through brunch. That's what you drink. Like I don't know.
Alrighty, so Michelle and I met a couple years ago. I'm back in South Florida, right? So Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then for those who don't know you, and what do you teach in a sense, like what grade and stuff. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm a Gator grad, University of Florida, two
Go Gators.
times.
There you go.
Go Gators. I
Go
studied
Gators.
early childhood education. I got my master's in early childhood education and my bachelor's in special ed. So this is my 8th year teaching.
Wow, time flies. 8 years.
Yeah. And I took a gap year. Like I was like 2 years in, and I was like, I think I need a break. Like I got to reevaluate things. I had like I call it my quarter life crisis, but
There we go. We all had those somewhere.
yeah. But I'm really grateful I did that. I got a lot of clarity about what direction I wanted to head in my life, and I definitely love working with kids. So this is my 4th year working with my particular grade level. I've taught 1st, 2nd, 3rd grades in the classroom, and then I did a Montessori stint. So I taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade there. But
What's a
now I'm
Montessori
more-
stint?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry
I
for those
had-
who don't know in that world. We don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. Montessori is it's like an approach to learning inspired by Maria Montessori, and it's very much child-centered and child-led. And the children, work with material in the classroom. So the teacher has to go through a very, very particular training to become Montessori certified and to understand how the student will use the material and how you as a teacher will guide that student's interactions with the materials.
What kind of
So
material? Like,
Yeah, I'm just
so
it's
is it
like very
like you give them a couple blocks and then you're like, what? How are they gonna do this?
you
Or is
so
it-
like the classroom is like the third teacher, right? So
Okay.
a lot of it is kind of like inspired by the setup of the classroom, and there's just like various material like on the shelves, and the child will like naturally gravitate to something, and then that's when you
so you
kind of
purposely like kind of
Oh.
mold the environment on that.
yes, exactly, based on
So
like
you-
what you want the
so
child to
basically,
interact with.
whatever the kid is interested in, that's what you're teaching on.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, so how does that affect standard testing? I'm curious now.
So Montessori schools are private. So
Oh, got it.
yeah, they are small independent schools.
So I guess
And
the average class size is what, 12, 15 kids?
and at my school that I was at, I believe I had about 12 kids. It was pretty small school, very, very small.
Wait,
private
so
school.
but you have 12 kids. What if 12 kids go to 12 different things, and then you're trying to teach them 12 different things?
So with Montessori, what's interesting is that there's various age groups in the same class. So, like the younger ones have role models in the older children, and the older children really get to like foster and like develop those leadership skills. But you try to like kind of group them similarly, but the nice thing is that it's easy to differentiate. Like if they're all working on the same like material,
Yep.
it's a little easier to differentiate how they're using the material, and they get one-on-one time with you, or if they're both working on the same skill, they work together, and it's a very free environment.
Sounds
It's
very hippie
really
to me. It sounds very
it's
hippie.
kind of hippie. I loved
Yeah.
it.
For
Like
kids.
I
That's what
actually
it is.
enjoyed it. Yeah,
We're developing our hippie kids young now.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, man. It
So
never
I
dies.
guess-
Peace never dies.
So I guess you've done both sides, right? You've done both sides. I'm gonna mispronounce this word, by the way, throughout this podcast. So you've done what's it, Montessori? Is that what how you pronounce that?
Montessori, yes.
Yeah, Montessori. And so you've done that, and then you've done the regular piece, right? I guess, can you compare like the impact of that? Just wondering, like, just curious.
So yeah, there's so I did like the public schooling for a few years, for literally like half of my career. I taught public school, and then at half my career I've been in private. So I'm in private school now, and like it's interesting. There are a lot of similarities still. Like you still have various parent involvement. Like some parents are really involved, like really want to know what's going on, and other parents just kind of leave it up to the teacher, or some parents are juggling like intense careers in addition to parenting, so a lot of it will fall on us, and so the involvement varies. But the main thing, I think the most obvious thing to people who are not educators, the biggest difference would be the resources that are available. Like
Gotcha.
if a private school is able to like manage their budget and their funds well, like they're going to be able to provide like a very different experience for children, rather than public schools. With public schools, it varies as well based on like where the school exactly is and what the demographic is. But with private school, you know exactly what you're getting as a parent, like based on what you're paying and what you observe, and yeah,
Gotcha.
you get
So,
a very
So you're doing Montessori right now as your teaching style?
I did Montessori before I transitioned to the school I'm at now. So
Got it.
I did
Okay.
Montessori. And
So what grade are you
yeah.
teaching right now?
right now I'm teaching pre-K 4, which is the youngest age I've ever
Pre-K.
taught.
Wow.
Pre-K. I've worked with kids that age before. Like growing up, I babysat. Like I worked at summer camps. Like I grew up in Boca Raton, so
Yeah.
and I'm Jewish, so my mom had me really involved in like our temple, and so I would like in high school work with like over the summer I'd work with like the pre-K kids or
So
like
you were
the
kind of a
kindergarten
prep
age
for it
kids.
in a sense.
Yeah, like I'd had experience with them,
Yeah.
but never like formally as a lead educator in a
Yeah.
classroom. So it was a unique opportunity, and
Yeah.
I had been wanting to join my school community. Like I had found them through word of mouth, actually, when I was teaching outside of Gainesville.
Yeah.
One of my colleagues from Miami had
Oh,
mentioned
this
the
school.
and yeah, this particular school that I'm at. And when I
Oh
moved to
wow.
Miami, I was like, I want to be here, like based on what I had seen online and what my colleague had said. I was like, and so I spent a few years trying to get a job here, and then finally, through like various connections I had made, I was
That's
able to
awesome.
land an interview. And originally, I was going to be a teaching assistant, but then the job opened up for the lead, and they were like, "It's pre-K4," and I was like,
That's
sign
fine.
me up. Like
There we go.
I'm open. I'm very open to new
So
like
wait, what year are
experiences.
you in with the school now? What year is this
This
then?
is my 4th year with the
With the
school
school.
and my
Okay.
4th year with this grade level.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So okay, before we dive into a little bit more, so can you tell us what's going on in South Florida school wise? Because I think for those who are not in South Florida, we just want to get a little background. So like for example, what is Miami-Dade County doing, in terms of going back to school from K to 12? Just wondering.
Yeah. So what Miami-Dade County did for the public schools was they pushed back their opening date. So originally, I think they were going to open mid-August, like
Hmm.
most schools in South Florida do. And they actually opened August 31st. So this past week on Monday was their first day. And it was only virtual learning, only remote.
Okay.
So from my understanding, from like what I've heard from like my public school colleagues that I still am like in touch with, they had several trainings leading up to the opening of school virtually, because you kind of have to like standardize everybody's
Mhm.
knowledge about the
Yep.
technology that they're going to be using. My school, so back when the pandemic was first unfolding, they developed a COVID task force.
Hmm.
So members from our school community, we have like an epidemiologist, like a pediatric, physician. We have somebody that's like an executive from like a major cruise line. Like there are various, professions that are keeping the task force updated on kind of what's going on, and that has like guided my school's reopening plan. And so we like want to provide the same or very similar, comparable, like high level experience for our parents and for the children.
Yep.
So we decided, the school as a whole decided to maintain our opening date and to
So
begin
you guys started
remote.
earlier?
We started before Miami-Dade did.
Okay.
Yeah, we started at our regular opening date.
Gotcha.
But the amount that we needed to do to prepare was different. There was
It
a
was
lot
probably
more we
intense.
needed.
Yeah, of
It
course.
was really intense. Yeah, it was super intense. And like,
Yeah.
I think like there are a lot of teachers who like have families and who are
Yep.
juggling, their own children's experiences learning. And then there's teachers like me who are, we have like personal things going on in our
Of
lives
course.
too. So
Yeah.
like we were talking before, like I'm preparing for a move tomorrow. Like I'm
Yeah.
literally moving to a new home tomorrow, and I'm also trying to juggle like providing excellent top notch like experience for my pre-K fours, and their experience is very very different than a child in even elementary school or middle school or high school. Like the younger, like primary age children, which is like pre-K 3 through kindergarten, so age 3 through like age 6. That experience is much, much different than the older children who are a lot more independent, who can, handle, walking around next to mom, like as they go from place to place while being connected to their peers on a screen. Like
Yeah.
I've
Mhm.
seen some of my colleagues doing that. Like when they leave work and they have a child who's enrolled in public school this week, like one of my colleagues, her son would be connected. He'd be wearing headphones, walking through our school with the iPad in hand and like connected. And then he's walking by people, and people are like, "Oh my goodness, hi!" And his
You just
mom's
get
like,
ignored.
"He's connected. Sorry, like he can't talk right now." It's like very strange.
Yeah. So,
Um,
so it's all online right now for you guys as well then.
Right now it is, but my
Until
school
when?
actually,
Yeah.
so yeah, my school actually right now is preparing to transition. So we emailed the parents earlier this week and let them know that we're prepared to have children come in person to
Yeah.
school, and it's happening this coming Tuesday. So
So do the parents have an option to opt out if they want to? Just curious.
they do. So
Right.
they had a timeline to complete the survey and make their
Yeah.
decision. And I think, almost all the parents have decided whether they want their children at home and continue remote learning or in person. So
That's
Oh,
pretty
so
good to know.
you're gonna have a screen. How is this gonna work if like
Yeah, I know. How
part
you
of the
have
so
part of the
let
class is
me
the
online
planning
versus?
behind this? Yeah. Actually,
yeah, this is
before we jump into that, so I just want before we jump into that part. So you're doing online right now, right? The past couple of weeks, right? What 3 4 weeks now?
yeah. I'm
No,
sorry.
1 week. This week
One,
it started this week.
no, they started earlier though.
No, we started our first day of school, I think, was the 20th or the 21st. So we had
Oh,
Thursday, Friday, and
Yeah.
then 2 additional full weeks of remote
Yeah, they
learning.
started earlier.
oh,
So did
okay.
you
Yeah.
guys end up distributing meals then? I was wondering, like, just like because I know some kids, rely on lunch meal, things like that, or breakfast meal. Did you guys do that? I just wondering how that
Yeah,
process went.
no, we have not been doing that because our demographic is different.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
what our school has required us to come to campus to teach virtually.
Gotcha.
So typically, like we have like a dining service that will provide the meals for us. So
Yeah.
we've been provided meals, and then there are some faculty who have children who
Yeah.
either are or not students at our school. So those children have been coming to our school. Our school is providing childcare for
Gotcha.
those children. So
Hmm.
for those
That's awesome though.
caregivers,
I mean,
it's really great for the
yeah.
teachers, and those children are on my campus, and so there's several campuses at my school, and so we have childcare providers who are helping each child connect all day long.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's
imagine the public school may not able to have the budget to do that. Think about that. Like
no, yeah,
it's a whole different ball game. And I know that
yeah.
I know that in public school, for some public schools, because a lot of kids depend on those meals, they do have distribution centers for those things. And so I know that has been ongoing since they went online. So now, so you're saying that next 2 weeks, you guys planning to bring kids back on? Do you have to do anything special to the environment?
Yeah, definitely. So the way our school is handling it is they're giving parents an option to bring their child back to school or to have their child resume learning from school every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, the parents are going to receive a survey and they have to fill it out and let us know what their intentions are for their child for the following 3 weeks. So we just
Hmm.
started that first survey this
That's actually pretty
past
smart
week.
though. And you do parts of
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah, and so we received an email from our administration, and apparently 55% of our students are going to be returning to in-person learning, which
That's awesome.
it's nice, yeah, because it kind of like helps us ease back into those new routines that we're building that are new for everybody, the teacher, the student, the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything has changed. Like when I tell you everything, like I can't.
Yeah, so wait, how's
I
your planning? Like you're planning, for example, like for that environment piece, right? So now, so you know how you, I guess you probably had to space out the desk differently, right? You probably have to like
so
balance that online as well.
Yeah, so for the older grades, they have individual desks for their children, so they are spacing them out. For the younger grades, like for my department, primary, like it's extremely difficult to
It's
keep
like
little
impossible.
kids
It's
apart from
impossible.
each other.
Kids
Yeah.
want to play with each other.
They want to play, they want to interact. Like a huge part of development is social and emotional, and that's the
Yeah.
piece that we really focus on, like in addition to the academic parts. But without the social and emotional, like the academic is difficult. So
Yeah.
I have a lot more families opting to have their children return than some of the older grades do, and that's okay.
Gotcha.
The planning piece is tricky. So right now what we're doing is we start our day. Let me give you like a glimpse at our day remote right now. We start out with like morning meeting. The children are connected for half an hour with us, and we're singing songs. Like we're getting to know each other. We're sharing. At my age, like the children have a little toy they want to share. I have to teach them how to raise their hand on Zoom. Like if they don't have their
Wait,
hands
how
like
old are
this.
these kids? Wait, how old are the kids again?
Some of my kids have just turned 4 years old, and
Oh
then
my
I have
God.
some kids that are turning
Wow.
5 soon, or have just turned 5. So their ages vary and their abilities vary, right?
So wait, are parents involved with that piece of this though?
Yes.
I was gonna say, there's
What's
no way
funny
someone
I'm
will.
noticing about this conversation is like it's moving so fast. Like
Yeah.
I'm wanting to elaborate on things, and then you guys are like, I have a question. Like
Yeah, there's so
it
many
really is
questions.
like that for
Yeah.
teachers too. Like there's so many questions. But
I feel like a kid right now. I'm learning as much as we can.
You didn't raise
Yes.
your hand, Mike.
Sorry, I need to
Excuse
raise
me.
my hand. Excuse me.
I'm gonna have to mute you if you don't raise your hand.
I'm glad
So
you're not host.
yeah. No, when I'm the host, like
Yeah.
the kids log on, the parents help the kids log on. I think a lot of kids are starting to get the hang of it. Almost all of the kids are able to unmute themselves. So like I'll mute them all at the beginning of the lesson, and then I'll like ask to unmute. There's that little button on their picture, and then I'll see them like touch the screen and unmute themselves. So like these little 4 and 5-year-olds are like really catching
kids
on, right?
kids with technology are so good. Like they are
It's
so good at
crazy.
catching on
Well,
to
they're
stuff.
sponges, right?
No,
Especially at a
yeah.
young age, they're sponges. They absorb anything.
Yeah, they really are. Quick side note about that. I just got myself a Nintendo Switch and I've been playing Animal Crossing, and I'm staying with a coworker who has 2 daughters, and one just turned 6 and one is 3. And I was showing them how to play Animal Crossing and they were catching on. I was like, this is insane. Like
give them like a couple of days and they'll start showing you stuff that you never
I know, right?
No, really, they are going to teach me more about it than I know. Like I don't doubt that at all. And it's
they're sponges though, kids in days.
They're able to catch on. So they know how to raise their hand. Like I have to talk to them about what their learning space looks like at home. Like every time we start our lesson together, like there's without fail a child with a toy in their hand, and I'm like, all right, don't forget our learning space is clean. We have just our materials. If you have a toy, set it to this side. You'll play with it when we're done. And like it's tricky because in the classroom it's natural for a teacher to redirect behaviors and to be just direct and to move on quickly. But now we're in an environment where the families are very involved, especially in my age group. So I'm very, very mindful about how I'm redirecting. Like I want to make sure that the child knows what the expectation is, but that I'm also, being mindful of the parent there and like not stepping on toes. Each family is different, and our goal right now at this point in the year is just to like create a community. So like at the end of last year, when I was zooming back in like March, April, May, the kids already knew each other, the families already knew each other. So like
they were comfortable already. They
were comfortable already. Yeah. So I was very much focused on like academics and just trying to like get them ready for kindergarten. So every day was like a lesson. But right now, and not that there's not lessons right now, but the lessons right now are social emotional lessons and like how we communicate on a screen, and like where are you looking? Like if the child is like over here, I'm like, bring it back, buddy, like right here on the screen. It's tricky. Their attention spans are
So wait, random question. How did they take naps?
So right now they're home, so they take naps whenever they want. If they miss a meeting, they miss a meeting, and
so you have a breakdown. So going back to your daily breakdown with them, right? Can you walk me through it? Like, obviously you start out with them. The parents log them on, right? You clean their environment space.
Yes, their environment is clean.
Wait. So just like a quick question, like how many kids do you have right now in your class?
Right now, I have 13 students in my class.
Wow.
13.
All right. 13 students. All right.
You gotta make sure you manage them during lunchtime. You can make sure they come back. You gotta manage them to take a nap time. Not just come back.
Yeah. No, those are very, very tricky times of the day. For me, those times are the most stressful times, even like in person. That's the most difficult time for me because, and now on top of like COVID and all, now they have to be 6 feet apart, and for teachers, like teachers know this, there are kids in the class that have allergies. So like right now I have a student in my class who has a banana allergy, like severe airborne banana allergy. We have nut allergies. I have pineapple allergies in several kids. So I have to talk to the parents about that, because some parents don't feel comfortable eating the school lunch because it's prepared by somebody else. So we did like our back to school night orientation, and I was like, if you feel more comfortable bringing a lunch, by all means, or a snack for your child, by all means, but be mindful. It cannot have nuts. It absolutely cannot have bananas or pineapples because we have those allergies in our class. And now, I have to be extra careful with that.
You have to keep an eye on it because sometimes parents tend to forget. And now
no, definitely. So we, because we're in a hallway, our school has various campuses, like I mentioned, and This year they decided with COVID to move us to a smaller campus. So our whole department did a big move over the summer. And right now we're in a hallway, a shared hallway. So what we decided with that allergy is no bananas. Like the dining service is not allowed to bring bananas to our campus. So we are a banana free campus now. But
so wait, what if the parents gives them lunch? Do you do like an inspection every day? Like a lunch
Oh
inspection?
yeah, one of the things that we have to do now is we have to make sure that those foods are not in the lunchbox at all.
Got it.
And so that's like something that's like specific to like I think.
So you're transitioning right now from online to in person, right? So before we pivot to physically to be in person, so going back to online, so like I said, how are you guys handling that right now, lunch break?
Okay, so what we do is we provided the parents with a schedule, a suggested schedule. So we have times that we gave them that we're meeting with their kids. 9 a.m. every day is our morning meeting. Then we have like our daily special, like PE, music, Spanish and science. Those are like our specials that we provide.
Wow.
And that's
this
every
is
day.
a nice school. I like this.
I know,
school.
right?
It's so important.
For
like
pre-K.
they need it. And listen, when I log into our coach's Zoom, and I see so many kids, like the jumping jacks, you know, like they're moving and grooving, like they really are like with it, you know? And so then they have that for half an hour right after morning meetings. So they have back-to-back half-hour Zoom meetings. That's a full hour of like connected time. That's really difficult for some kids. So like as a school, we're required to take attendance. I shared with my families, like you need to make sure your child is logging in the morning so I know that they're present for when I take attendance. But some just don't last. And, you know, their attention span, they're just not interested. It's not fun for them. Like they need that in person. Like it's very, very difficult for them, right? Because we're just one little screen and they have so many other things going on in their home that like I, as a teacher, am not aware of.
You can't control it, to be honest.
Exactly. It's out of my control. So my like philosophy has been like flexibility since March. Like you do what works best for your family. And so anyway, back to that suggested schedule, like have small group times. And in the spring, I was meeting with the kids one-on-one, half an hour every session.
So you're doing one-on-one back then.
I was in the spring because it was so new, and that was what we came up with. And it was, and I have a co-teacher, so she also was doing one-on-ones, and we had 15 or 16
so you guys have like 13 kids, but 2 teachers.
Right now as well.
So we have 2 teachers right now. Yeah, but what we're doing is we're taking turns. Like I have 13 kids, so I only meet with like 7 kids on one day and then 6 kids on the other. And on the day that I meet with 7 kids, my co-teacher's meeting with 6 kids. Gotcha. And we're not doing it one-on-one because we want them to get to know each other and work together. So like I have them in small groups, 30-minute small groups. And when they're with us in those 30 minutes, what we're trying to do is get them to say hello to each other on the screen. And like, I'll have them hold up like the artwork that they made and I'll have them both show it at the same time. And I'll be like, okay, Billy, say something nice about Judy's piece. And then Billy is like practicing that, you know, social emotional, like kindness piece.
What if he says
they ever say anything that's like, it's ugly?
I have a couple of kids that like, you know, have a hard time. Like I'll be like, give me a thumbs up if like you got it. And then I have that like little boy that's like,
oh,
and I'm like, all right, great. We're going to keep moving. So when that happens, I just kind of let it go because they're at home, like, and when they're in person, I'll be able to redirect it. And so let's go back to like the in-person piece. The parents did the survey. One thing that I found very interesting is that I have 5 girls in my class and 8 boys. 4 of the girls are staying home. So I have 1 girl coming in and the rest boys. Wow. And it's going to be like 6 or 7 boys that are coming to school. Yeah. So my class is going to be very boy heavy, you know? And so I think, you know, that's just interesting to look at, like from a social perspective, like from a development perspective. Like a lot of the boy parents feel that the boys need those social interactions, you know? Everybody needs them, but those boy moms feel more comfortable sending their boys to school.
So
So
I guess going back to that scheduling thing, right? So let's say that you meet them in the morning, right? Then they have a lunch break, and then there's another meeting,
there's
right?
there's a lunch break, and then there's like a rest time. So we like block that out in the
Got it.
suggested schedule, and then we have it like an afternoon small group piece. So then the kids that we didn't get to see in the morning, we see in the afternoon, and then that's
So
it.
it rotates. Okay, I see what
It
you're saying.
does. It
But
does. And so I kept it consistent, like for the families. I created the schedule. I was like, let me know if your time doesn't work for you, and I'll switch you to the afternoon, and I'll try to, switch somebody else, because I'm trying to be very flexible.
Yeah.
But some parents prefer the morning time, some prefer the afternoon. Okay. So I try not to switch that. But the small groups, I am going to switch starting next week. I'm going to
Yep.
mix them up, because now, like, these kids have been working on Zoom together for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So now it's time to get to know like another little group of kids, and like continue fostering like that classroom community even
Because when
virtually,
you go
right?
back, right, you're gonna know, oh, that's Bobby right there, or you can recognize it a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. So
so
um
like the so the parents have to be on the entire time that the kids are on too. So how do they get anything done?
They don't.
so
Fine.
some of the parents, I see some like working moms, I'll see them like off to the side like doing their own work, and then if the child becomes distracted, they like come back and redirect, right? Some of the parents are able to like leave. Like I see some children working alone in the room with the
Wow.
door open. So like if, Johnny needs, a piece of paper and he doesn't have it, I'll be like, all right, go tell mommy or daddy you need a piece of paper. And then I see them like scurry out of the room and then come back and they're like, I got my paper. I'm like, great job, But yeah, it depends. It really depends on the child. And then some kids do have that caregiver, whether it's
Yeah.
mom or dad or a nanny that is next to them the whole time, like trying to keep them engaged, you
Wow,
know?
So
that's gotta be
now,
hard. Like I don't know if it's like because you when you're working and then like you have a kid and then you have to like be there to like help them
yeah.
with
Yeah.
school. It's
Yeah. And then
my yeah,
no, go ahead.
my brother said like his kids are going back to school and he's just like lost because he can't he's like I can't teach these kids. I was no good in school. So like
Yeah, I know, right?
like being
Yeah.
there to help them is like is one thing, but like it's a whole nother thing
I mean,
to like
imagine, no,
help them
this,
learn.
this is like pre-K. I mean, imagine you try to do that with like middle schoolers. It's even probably even worse doing online stuff like this. And
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. So now that you're planning to transition back to being in person, how are you gonna handle those sessions, I guess, online and physical at the same time? Just wondering.
So one thing that our school did to prepare us for this was they made like a heavy investment in technology.
Hmm.
So every single classroom has been outfitted with a brand new top of the line smartboard. Smartboard is what we use for like our interactive whiteboard.
Hmm.
And so it comes with a camera affixed to the top.
So you're
And
doing it at the same
so
time, like physical and online at the same time?
what we're going to do is for morning meeting, when we do morning meeting in person, those children at home are going to log in from home, and they're going to be on the screen, and they're going to be seeing our group. Now, how does that change my instruction? Like it changes it like crazy, right? Because
Yep.
first of all, typically when I'm sitting, like let's say this is my board, I'm sitting like right in front of it, so that if I'm doing something, I'm engaging with the board, the kids are seeing me, and there's your instruction, right?
Gotcha.
Now I have to make sure that the kids that are on the board can see what I'm doing. So I'm either going to be screen sharing, or I'm going to have the smart board positioned in a way that's facing, I have like a little chart that's like
Gotcha.
affixed on the wall. I have it looking at that.
So you're gonna
But
have a
then,
little monitor to make sure the kids are looking at you as well. That's what you're looking to.
yeah. But one thing I want to mention is like a big part of like early childhood instruction is like reading books. Like research
Yeah.
shows that if you read a book to your child every single day, like their development in like every level like is like they're way more likely to be successful. So I make it a point to read a book every single day. And a lot of times I do that in my whole group instruction. And
Yeah.
so now I have to make sure that like not only are the kids on the carpet engaged in the story, but the kids that are at home are engaged. And with that camera on Zoom on the smartboard, like it focuses on like the action, on like the moving
So
parts of the
they can move it. They can actually follow through, which is nice.
yeah, but it doesn't focus enough on the pictures. So like when I'm reading a book, like I
Yeah.
want the kids to notice the pictures. Like that's what they're most interested in the book. So like when I would do story time in the spring, I would like hold it up really close and like get them to really look.
Are you seeing this, Johnny boy? Yeah.
Is she lagging
Hang
for
on.
you?
I think she's lagging. Yeah. Hang on.
Hold on, you're lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
So now.
All right, let's take a break while I.
1 hour later.
All right,
Alright,
you good?
Here we go. All right.
We're back.
Yeah. Since we had to take a break, since we were like forced to take a break because of like
I'm sorry.
internet connections and stuff, let's move into our extra MSG segment. And
What do you
do
have
some
to share
funny
this
stuff.
time? Yeah.
You want
The
to see
funny
what I'm
stuff.
sharing? Yeah.
Actually, Michelle, you want to go with it? You have some funny story to share with the kids. So.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's like with little kids, like little kids are funny anyways because they share things that like adults don't typically share. Like
Yeah.
it's just they say whatever they know and whatever comes to mind. So like these Zoom sessions have been funny because the parents are there. So there's a little more of like an adult audience.
So
like,
you guys don't record a Zoom session, right? I'm guessing, or do you guys?
I have not been recording the Zoom session. No, I do not record.
I guess, do you know if any other teacher records that and then sends it back to the parents?
I think some teachers, when a child misses like a whole group meeting, they will record it and send to the families. But I haven't really had that issue. I've had like everybody coming.
So how's your attendance be? I guess the attendance, has it been like more like 80% attendance online?
No, like the kids that are enrolled are the morning meeting piece. Now sometimes the small group they don't make it to like later in the day, but you know, sometimes the next morning, like during small group is when we do our little crafts, like they're cutting, they're gluing, coloring. So like the next day in morning meeting, the kids will have like their little hat they made or like their little mask they made.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then the kids who miss it are like, oh man, like, and then they'll show up, you know?
Yeah.
So they like motivate
FOMO,
those kids.
they get the FOMO.
Yeah, they get the FOMO, exactly.
There's an early experience of FOMO there for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Teaching them
so,
early the FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some funny stories you'd like to share?
Yeah, so like, you know, one of the things that is very natural for a child to do is to color, and we've been like facilitating some coloring activities, and we were talking about kindness, and so one of my boys that I was working with, I was like, well, who are you gonna make your card for, your picture for? And he's like, I'm gonna make it for my mom. And I was like, all right, great. What is your mom like? What are you gonna draw on your picture that your mom really likes? And he's like, a bottle of wine. I'm like,
Oh,
there you go. I was like, Mom. And then the other moms that are connected,
the kids
they know.
I have a
moms
friend
that
of
are
mine.
cracking up too.
I have a friend of mine who also had a kid, and she's also did the same thing where like he's like, what is your mom like? And like she drew a picture of his mom drinking wine with her friends.
yeah, like they know, like some of these kids really know like their parents very well, so they know.
They keep an eye on them. I tell you. They keep
I
an eye on
know.
them for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Those grape juice extra.
Yeah, right.
It's grape juice that comes in like this long bottle, you know.
It's mom juice. It's mom juice.
Mom juice, yeah.
Yes.
That's really funny though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then, you know, like we get into like little conversations about like their lives. So like when they're coloring, like it's kind of a quiet activity, you know? So I try to facilitate any kind of little conversations that I can, just so the kids are talking and whatnot, feeling more comfortable, building that rapport. So like one of the moms the other day was like, why don't you tell Mrs. Gut about your dog? And he was like telling me, oh, his name is Paco Loco. And then he's like, we call him a terrorist. I was like, okay, moving on.
Wow.
I'm like, I do not want to explain to any other children on this Zoom what that is. So we're going to keep it moving. I was like, oh, okay. Are you teaching him new tricks? Like trying to keep it moving. But like, that's like something that I think all teachers know how to do is just keep it moving when a child says something that you're just like,
awkward. That's awkward.
yeah, we're not going to go into that, right? And then there's just like the technical like difficulties that you have on Zoom, like in morning meeting, like I said, I sing songs, and so like the first day of school, like our first morning meeting, I was like, we're gonna start out with a good morning song. It's a song that our music teacher sings with the kids that like some of the kids that were in pre-K last year are familiar with, and I put on the song on YouTube, and I'm like singing the song. It's like, good morning good morning. I'm like halfway through, and then I see a little chat pop up, and it's like, we can't hear the music. So I'm just like by myself, like,
You're just there by yourself.
I'm like, you gotta be okay. I was like, oops, all right, we'll try again tomorrow. And what I had done was I forgot to check that little box on the bottom of the screen that says share computer sound. Yeah, I was like, all right, but
Wow,
I know I'm not
that's
the only
funny.
teacher out there that's like struggling with the tech a little bit, because my coworker who has her son connected, she was giving me a ride to like an apartment complex that I was checking out to move into. And her son was connected on the iPad, and he unplugged the headphones so we could hear everything. And like I could hear this teacher struggling. She's like, Phoenix, do you want to share your project? And like little Phoenix probably had his project up, and she was like, oh, it's looking small. Like we can't see you big. And then this is like a second or third grade class. Like all the kids start unmuting themselves. They're like, Miss Smith, why don't you touch the 3 buttons and pin his video? Or Miss Smith, why don't you?
So the
like
kids
they're
are
like
teaching the kids
they're like
teaching
teaching the class, like the teacher, how to like troubleshoot this. And this went on, I kid you not, for like almost the entire car ride. These kids were troubleshooting the problem. The teacher's
crazy.
lesson, I looked at my coworker and I was like, her lesson is out the window. Like it's turned into like a learning hour for the teacher.
Well, so I guess right now teacher probably had to spend an extra hour to learn about technology first, right? So you like literally, to avoid those kind of embarrassing situations, you had to learn the tech first. So that way, if the kids are spotting you.
But it's also hard, right? Like some of these teachers have been like, they're not technically savvy, and they've been teaching for
they're
so
old
long.
school. We call them
they're old
OGs.
school, and like it's just hard. I was looking up, I saw this on TikTok of this kid who, he's probably a high school kid, who's like, his teacher was on. He's like, he told his teacher, he's like, hey, let me share my screen so that I can do that. So then the teacher made him host, and then he just kept on kicking her out.
Yeah.
Just kept on kicking her out of the class.
Or changing her name. Or change her name.
No.
That was mistake number 1. Like you never let anybody else be a co-host. No. Luckily, I don't think my kids are on that level, but one thing they do like to do is once they start figuring out how to annotate, like I'll be teaching a lesson and then all of a sudden I'll start seeing little scribbles on my face. I'm like, oops. And then I have to like keep talking.
So they're actually purposely doing that. Just
they're annotating on me or like on the screen.
Can you clear that as the host?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Control that.
You have to open up annotate and then like clear it off. But
imagine you're talking and you grew up here out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can, make me look like whatever. So I have to like keep teaching and like keep talking as if nothing is happening while I'm on my screen, like, oh my god, get me out of here. And the parents are watching this go down. I'm like, okay.
I've also seen where they change their name to Reconnecting and turn off their video.
Turn off their
so
camera.
It looks like that they're having problems.
Yeah, I think I saw that online too, but I think the one that I saw, the kid had like misspelled reconnecting, so he it's like, oops.
That is pretty funny. All right, so Robert, what do you have to share?
I have this video of.
I guess send it to the chat.
Yeah, I just sent it to the chat.
Let's see this.
It's a video. Oh, let me share the screen here.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a video of this this chimpanzee using Instagram and just looking at his phone.
Did he like it? Did he like the post?
Oh my god.
The guy, the owner he's just like,
scrolling.
oh, what are you looking at? And he's just like scrolling through Instagram, looking at other chimpanzees and his chimpanzee friends.
Oh my god. That's amazing. That's a new kind of enrichment at the zoo, I guess,
Yeah.
Like, right?
Don't give them
social
like
distancing at the zoo.
Plastic ball. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So we can't exactly social distance in our classrooms.
Yeah.
So during rest, that's like the only time like I'm able to like get them 6 feet apart. But every other time, the parents know they have to be close together.
That's crazy. But man, this chimpanzee is crazy though. He's actually scrolling, liking stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
That's
They're definitely doing social distancing out there.
So I sent this meme to my friend because my friend loves Crown. And I'm like, buddy, I think this is a good excuse. Just tell your wife to do one of these for you. So let me send this
Crown Royale.
yeah, Crown Royale. So let me send this meme to you guys. And it's very funny. I thought. So for this, the title says spray throw 3 times a day for your anti-coronavirus, and it's a bottle of Crown Royale with the spray in it, and
The spray bottle top where you can squeeze.
There you go.
That is really funny.
There you go. Some of those and the hand sanitizer smell like straight up like the worst tequila I've ever had in my life. Like I went to the post office and like did a pump and I almost gagged. I was like, ew, like this is not okay.
and then if you read the comments, it says only 3 times not enough, maybe more.
Yeah, that's like a tease.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty funny though. I don't know. These comments are pretty funny. But yeah, anyway, I saw that to my friend.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
Meme
getting back,
culture, I love it.
I know. So, all right, so getting back to the topic. So Michelle, now that you're gonna transition into, in the physical world, the kids are coming back to you, right? I guess you were mentioning earlier, you're doing your best to prep as much as you can, right? I guess what are some challenges that you see probably, that may happen that you have, like that you may have to overcome? Like for example, the kids will have to have masks all the time.
Yeah, so actually the kids are going to be wearing masks all day. So
All
one
day
of the
long.
things that
Wow.
So one of the things that we've been teaching them how to do is like we've been like we teach them like what it looks like to be school ready. Like they wear their uniform, like they, have their backpack. And like when we drew our self-portraits the other day,
Yeah.
the follow-up lesson was them coloring in and cutting out a mask and gluing the mask on the face. Like they need to know that like when they go to school, they wear a mask.
Gotcha.
And we ask the parents like send extra masks because like if their mask gets dirty, like we're gonna
Or gets lost, or they lose it.
or it gets lost.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even though I don't know how it would if they keep it on, but might not be able to do that. Like it's gonna be
during
hard.
lunchtime, you never know.
Yeah. So one of the things
Yeah.
that I want to do, I think, is like one of the first lessons we're gonna do on the first days of in person is they're gonna bead like a little string, and we're gonna make one of those little like, how like people have the
A
glasses.
necklace.
Oh, the
with little-
sunglasses. Smart.
Yeah, like for their
smart.
mask. So when
Yeah.
they take off the mask, it just hangs on their neck like a necklace, and when they're done eating, they put it right back on, and that's it.
There you go. Gotcha.
So the only time they're allowed to take it off is during rest time and lunchtime and snack. So at rest, our school is concerned that, a child might have like a medical emergency in rest time. So they want to make sure that the teachers that are supervising are able to see their nose and mouth and like how they're breathing. So because they're so young. So they are going to take off their masks at rest time. But we also purchased these like little bucket hats with these like plastic shields.
Oh yeah, the
shield.
secret plastic shield. That's smart.
Yeah. So when during the day they can wear.
And this is a
like,
nice private school. Let me tell you right now.
It is.
Yeah.
We provide a lot. Like we do want it to be like an exceptional experience for the families, and we also want them to feel safe.
Yeah.
Like we are taking extra precautions to like keep the classroom really clean and make the parents feel comfortable with the environment that they're sending their kids to.
So like side topic this quickly though. So I guess I know you probably know a bunch of public teachers because you taught public school as well, right? So how have you talked to them how they're dealing with some of this situation? Just wondering. And do you guys collaborate, share ideas? I'm just curious.
So I don't know any public school teachers who teach my grade level,
Your
so
grade
we're not
level,
like collaborating a whole lot on that, but I know that like Miami-Dade started on Monday and they suffered like a really big cyber attack. So
Wait,
a lot
what?
of my
Wow,
there was a
cyber
huge
attack?
cyber attack on the Miami-Dade
On the Zoom calls?
on the Zooms, yes. So it was a really rough
targeting them.
first day.
Somebody really want to prank them.
It was a student. They ended up arresting like a high school student here in South Miami.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I'm not surprised it was a kid. Like I
Yeah.
said, these kids technologically, they're like beyond, So, that was a rough first day of school for Miami-Dade teachers.
Damn. Wow.
But
I probably wouldn't have
I
done
mean,
like in school. I probably wouldn't have done like that, but I probably would have like found some workarounds to school. Like I probably would have done
Yeah.
something. something
Yeah.
for the like
I
on
mean,
Zoom.
I guess the kids. I mean, the kids are smart enough in a sense that okay, you know what? I'm bored. Why not? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, over the summer, they're like, might as well, start the
Yeah.
year off with a bang. One thing that like I think Robert, you probably would have done this, like change your background. Like the virtual backgrounds on Zoom are
Yeah.
like really big. So right
Yeah,
now my
those have
class
been.
hasn't figured it out yet, but
That's smart.
last year when I was zooming in the spring, those like a lot of my students were like virtual backgrounding it up, like all
Oh,
kinds
so
of
so they
things.
so they figured it out.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
figured it out. I think
Yeah.
my kids are a little too new still, so
There we
they're like a
go.
little too young, but they'll get there. I swear.
I'm curious.
Like,
I'm curious though how people would do detention nowadays. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
oh, detention. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
There
obviously you guys
are-
don't have those though.
Log in after school for detention.
Yeah.
Like
Act-
okay.
Oh my God. Lame. That's funny. No, that is not possible. The one thing that I did see is that my school kind of developed a policy for students who refuse to wear a mask.
Yep.
So what I saw on the slideshow, it said that coming to school is viewed as like a privilege at this point.
Yep.
Like if a parent decides to send their child to school and they're not following the correct
The
procedures,
guidelines,
like
yeah. Yep.
they might not be able to come to school. Like they might have to do remote learning. And like
Yep.
there are certain kids, like I was speaking to like a PE coach, and they were sharing about how certain athletes are required to stay remote because they play on like club teams that travel, and they just are trying to mitigate the risks.
Yep.
Our school purchased ionizers, and they're using, I forget what they're called, like MERV 83 filters, but they're like hospital grade filters for the AC.
For the AC.
Yeah, so every classroom has one of those like filters, and every classroom has an ionizer. So
Dang,
it's
it's a
filtering
nice
the air.
So
It
sprays
is.
everywhere.
It is. Like I
I mean, it's a
said,
little
like
overkill, but sprays it down though nicely. For sure.
yeah.
Are they doing
definitely.
temperature checks when the kids come in?
Yeah, so we're using this app called the Safety app, and every morning before I get to work, I have to open it up and complete a small like questionnaire. So I have to like verify that I haven't had a fever, I don't have nausea, like any kind of symptoms. I have to verify that I haven't traveled anywhere.
Yep. So
And I have to.
is that contact
Sorry.
also is that app also contact tracing?
No, my school said that if anybody does test positive for COVID, they're going to notify the health department, and the health department is doing contact tracing.
How does that work though? I mean, if
Are they really doing contact tracing? The health department
yeah, I know. Seriously.
Yeah,
I'm like, that doesn't make
in
sense.
Florida, I have no trust
Oh
in any of that.
no, I agree. I don't know. That's like one of those things that like, that's like an employer's decision. Like they assured us that like if somebody in our class tests positive and they're made aware, they will notify us the same day. But beyond that, like I'm not sure. There's a lot of unknowns, and like we haven't none of this has happened yet because we haven't had students yet. But we have been coming into closer contact with each other, and it's difficult. Like we received an email from HR basically saying like make sure that you're spacing out 6 feet when you eat lunch, because we're sitting at the same, like people eat together. Like it's hard for adults.
It's really hard for adults already. It's gonna be even harder for kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then like, we want to go outside and eat lunch, but it's so hot. Like at 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock, it's roasting outside. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Wait, you're telling me that that school doesn't have a fancy porch and a fan outside?
Yeah,
I'm
y'all
disappointed.
y'all don't have like
I'm very disappointed.
y'all don't have
Listen.
like a dome like that you guys built for cooling for you guys to eat lunch.
Gosh.
Yeah.
This is not Disney World. Not quite, okay? We don't have those little misty fans yet.
Imagine
Yeah,
that.
the mist that comes out. Yes.
The cooling stations, not yet, okay?
All
Maybe
right.
in like a decade or two when global warming really starts affecting us.
But so I guess Michelle, obviously this school year has definitely been different, right? And I guess, do you see this going on for next school year too as well?
I don't know. Like, there's so many unknowns. Like, honestly, I hope not. Like, this has been really difficult for teachers and for family. Like everybody has been affected by this. It's extremely difficult, not just like because change in itself is difficult, but like navigating the logistics and like the emotional piece, like the fear.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you,
you know?
how do you feel emotionally right now? Because I'm sure it's that this is partially emotionally draining in a sense, and you need your energy to teach the kids every day. So
Yeah, I've had a lot going on in my personal life lately,
yeah,
so emotionally it's been difficult. But when I
yeah.
like work is like my escape right now, and work
Oh,
is
that's good.
very
That's you
like
enjoy it. So,
challenging. Well, yeah, like work has always been my escape. Like I love what I do. I'm passionate about teaching and
mhm.
working with these little kids. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking, you know, like coming to school every day, being around people like um you know, somebody got sick the other day, and they work in an office with like a few other people, and you know, we walked in, like we said hello, and then after my morning meeting I went into the hallway and the office was closed, the lights are turned off, and there's like a do not enter sign, and I'm like, is
What?
everything okay? Like I don't know what's going on. Like they're like right across the hall from me. Like
Yeah.
it's
Well, think about
unsettling.
this, all right? So flu season is coming up soon, and especially after
Yes.
November, December, and how do you think? My concern is that a lot of people may overreact or maybe underreact, I guess, to a certain degree. Like, how do you deal with that? Because especially if they're gonna try to bring kids back to school, and flu season, you'll fly back to through the kids very easily. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I get my flu shot every year, so like knock on wood, like I'm gonna get my flu shot soon. Like I hope not to get it.
yeah,
But yeah, like every parent is gonna decide whether they feel comfortable sending, like they're gonna weigh the pros and cons themselves. And like that's something that our school has like made very clear.
yep,
Like every family chooses what's right for them.
yep,
You know, our school can't guarantee that nobody is going to get sick, but like they're giving us like hand sanitizer bottles. They're giving us like little like disinfectant sprays. Like we have paper towels out the wazoo. And then like my co-teacher is kind of like me. We're like germaphobes. So like
yep.
last year before COVID even happened, like a kid would be sitting on the carpet and like start picking their nose. And I'm like, oh, Johnny, you put your finger in your nose. That's not healthy. Please go wash your hands. And then they have to get up and go wash their hands. Like I try really hard to like be on top of like those
Yeah.
behaviors and like things that are really common in little kids, like putting their fingers in their mouth when they're nervous. That's like a super common behavior, you know? And I have to like be on top of it. And we're just going to have to continue doing that and like disinfecting, you know? And that's like
true.
the other
And
thing.
I think it's a good thing though. I think it's a good thing because I think this builds habits down the line for kids to be, I mean, for the kid to be sanitized. I mean, I feel like, okay, out of the COVID situation, I feel like everybody's gonna be cleaner afterward, which is smart.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was talking to some friends who were like, oh, we like Sean came to visit me, and as soon as he walked in, he's like, all right, I'm gonna go wash my hands, and he's like, this has changed me completely. Like every time I come somewhere, I wash my hands, which we probably should have been doing anyways. But now it's just like an automatic reaction, which is good for all of us.
Yeah. Like I would do that anyways. Like when I would get home from the grocery store, I would wash my hands. But like now I'm like acutely aware of like when I'm washing my hands. And at work, we've installed like hand washing stations in the hallways and like in various areas. So people can just wash their hands during the day. So like when I'm walking down the hall, like I'll just wash my hands just for the hell of it. Like I feel good, you know, after I do it, you know?
Well, yeah, like I said, it builds kind of like a nice little habit. I think down the line, maybe perhaps, a year down the road, people are used to that as well. And also, and I think, but I guess one of the concern is that I'm just curious to see how the county, especially in South Florida, how they're going to handle that situation. I mean, obviously private schools are a little bit different because you guys control your environment a little bit, with more control. I think public school is going to be one of the biggest issues that they got to look for, county guidance, right? And so, and obviously the private school will try to follow that in a sense, but I guess imagine that I feel like the sense of direction. I'm not sure like what that has been, if that has gone. Do you think have anything to add to that? Just wonder, do you like to see something that accounting might can do better?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it's so difficult. Like you see small business like struggling right now, and it's because the county is trying to determine like what is safe for people and like what is in people's best interest, right? That's like the big thing right now. Like politically, people are just like, torn about it.
Or they may not even know, or they may not even know, or
maybe they're unaware, right? I just like, my hope is that if numbers start getting really, if the positivity rate really like spikes, like I just saw a little headline pop up on my phone earlier today about like Spain and France, and they're starting to get like higher numbers. Like if that starts happening, in Miami, like I do hope that the county will take action and like shut it down, and like have us move into virtual learning again. Because I don't know if, I don't know how safe it is, to like keep places open and leave it up to individual businesses or like private organizations to determine.
It's super hard because most people tend to look for there's a fine line between what's right, and then you got to provide for your family, right? And
exactly. And like we promised our families like an excellent experience. So like, what does that require? That requires like giving families like the flexibility to choose whether they feel comfortable sending their kids, and then making sure that we're guaranteeing a safe space for their kids. That's like priority number one. Gotcha. Right. And then in my grade, it's very challenging because kids are touching everything. Yeah, so like in addition to like all the lesson planning that we do in the primary grades, like we also need to make sure that we're disinfecting the things that they're using all the time. So I'm going to try to keep it in a little pod system. Like already we have a pod system in our grade level. Like the kids from different classes do not interact with each other. But now like I have to keep it to like the kids within my class and like set them up in little learning groups. Then on Fridays, I disinfect the toys. And then on Mondays, maybe they switch up to a different learning group. And then that group only plays with these toys during the week.
Gotcha.
Right?
So that's smart because that way you rotate what's being disinfected and you have
exactly. So every week on Friday, we're like super cleaning everything. And then on Monday, the kids that are starting to play with those toys that they didn't play with last week are fresh.
Yeah, so that's smart though.
That's my approach, but every teacher's doing it differently.
Yeah, well, every level's doing it differently as well.
There's pros and cons for everything.
So I guess if the county decide, you know what, guys, hey, we're shutting this down, I guess then private school will probably follow that as well, right? That's what it sounds like. So. Yeah,
I think when the county makes a decision, or you're talking like Miami-Dade County.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking more like the mayor, like the city of Miami. Like I think when they make a decision, all the businesses, everybody in the county needs to follow. But if Miami-Dade County schools make a decision, I think our school definitely looks at that. And like in the past, I think we have followed their decision making, but like with COVID, that has changed. Like now,
you're talking about like Dade County School. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think Mike's also talking about the county as
the
Miami,
county of Miami,
like the city,
the city, right?
Yeah. I would hope their goal is to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, I guess because from what I've seen so far, I feel like the reaction has been a little bit slow, and so it's kind of like, I mean, especially in West Coast, right? In Santa Monica right now, everything's still kind of. Yeah, everything's remote. They already announced that they keep it remote until end of September, and they keep pushing it back a little bit more. And so, but also at the same time, though, I mean, there's only so much resources can you really do. You know what I mean? Like certain things you just can't teach online. Like imagine trying to hold a second grader or even a middle schooler. I mean, as a college student, I struggle just to stay online. To be honest, I skipped class all the time if it was online. So you imagine that.
I skipped class when it was live, so it's
same.
Like being online, it just makes it easier to skip, right?
Yeah, it does.
And it's kind of like, down the line. I mean, I feel like if it's 6 months gone by, 8 months gone by, do you feel like the quality will go down? I mean,
if we're remote for that long, I don't anticipate us being remote for that long.
But what if though?
I mean,
if we didn't have summer, we would be like if we didn't have summer, we would already have been there, right?
Kids are on like month 5, month 6 of being home. So like parents are starting to reach their like threshold. Like some parents are like they have to go back, and then other parents are like, no, it's just they don't feel safe. They don't believe that. If we were remote learning for that long, like teachers are very innovative and very creative. Like we always have some like bag of tricks. We have our bag of tricks. We collaborate. Like I think we would be able to do it. And that, would it be easy? Absolutely not. It would be difficult for everybody, right? We prefer kids to be in person. What I think is a very possible, like a very real possibility, is that we return to school, life kind of resumes, and then we have to, we have a spike in COVID and we have to go back to remote learning. Like, I think that is very real. Exactly. While we like navigate this, while we discover a vaccine, right? Like all these unknowns that are out of our control. So we created like these little remote learning bags that we gave to parents when we met them at like our meet and greet. We had a little meet and greet event. And those are just supplies for them to have at home, so that if we do have to go to remote learning again, they have materials at home. They're not.
So I guess they're more prepped now. So I guess you guys have probably, I guess, planned for the worst as well. That's what it sounds like, as well, at least to a certain degree.
Yeah, we're preparing for anything that might get thrown our way. Cause like, I mean, think back to March, like we were so unprepared. Like we found out Wednesday that like, it was like Wednesday, March 11th, I think it was. Yeah. I swear, like I will never forget it. Wednesday, we found out that the school was like considering closing that Friday. And then by Thursday, it was like, tomorrow's a half day and like send everything home that you can. So on Wednesday already, I was like, I think we need to make bags to like send materials home. And my team was like, no, that's like too much. And then by Thursday, it was like, no, we're making bags. Like, what are we putting in the bags? So like, I scrambled to like get the stuff together. And it's just, you can never anticipate something like this happening in your lifetime.
No, it's true. I mean, keep in mind, this is our first time in our generation where we ever experienced this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we didn't have technology when the last pandemic hit. So like, the next time it happens, it's going to be a whole new generation, and maybe they'll see this podcast and be like, oh, check out this teacher. Look what she did. Like they'll have like all kinds of new, they won't even know what smartboard means. Like they're going to have a whole nother level.
What do you mean Zoom? Like
what's Zoom?
They have VRs. Hey, they're going to be sure they have VRs. You just put the VR in the classroom.
Oh my God.
Imagine that. Imagine just put a VR. Hey, Bobby's right there. You can see the real kids interact with them.
There are companies that are coming out with technologies like that online, where you log into like a Zoom room and it's a virtual like Minecraft reality. But there's like little screens on the walls. Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal.
I feel like, obviously this kind of, with the pandemic, it's definitely fast-tracked the digital piece of it, right? And I mean, let me tell you, I had to teach my parents how to use an iPad, and it was a struggle.
Yeah.
And kids are just picking it up nowadays faster, so
oh yeah they're able to like
great.
It is really great. It like opens up opportunities for them. Like there's so many things that they can explore, and like will keep them engaged. Like they can do learning oriented activities on the iPad without a teacher, and it's amazing.
Have you found any parents who are like, oh, like doing all this digital learning is like too much screen time for my kid?
Have you, I guess, any kind of like, resistance?
So it goes both ways. Like some parents feel that it's just too much time for their child, and like their child can't handle it. So it's difficult, right? And then there's other parents that are like, we want our child engaged all day long. Like we're paying tuition at your school. Like we want you to be doing it all day. We want them like engaged.
How do you balance that? Just wondering.
Yeah, like developmentally, like a lot of screen time is not good for our age group. Like they need opportunities to like do things that are engaging their fingers and like their bodies, and like they're still growing. Like the screen time takes away from those things. So like when we do screen time, a lot of the things that we're trying to do are like activities that get them cutting and get them writing and like building those little muscles that like they would be doing otherwise.
Actually get them to do physical stuff in front of the screen. Like for example, hey, build a rubber band ball, whatever it is, or
make a bracelet. Like and then so with that, like we have to try to create an academic component as well. So like when I tell them to like put the beads on the pipe cleaner, like we're gonna make a bracelet, but today we're focusing on patterning. So what kind of pattern are you gonna make? Let's do a little game together on Zoom first.
So do you drop off little packages ahead of time?
Use. So we gave them a variety of materials so that when we lesson plan and we create our virtual lessons, we can do it based on the things we gave them. So we can say like, we know you have X, Y, and Z. So for this activity,
every week, or is this just every at the beginning of the school season?
It's every day. Like every day we're teaching a remote
But
lesson.
I mean, like the stuff you give them. Did
That
you
was when
drop it off?
the teacher, the parents came, right? That's when
Yeah,
you
so the
had...
parents came for a meet and greet. We prepared these bags and we gave it to them, and we knew they were starting remote learning. So there were certain activities that we prepped. Like they made
Got
like
it
we
ahead of
read
time, so you planned that ahead of
yeah,
time.
some activities we gave them like the template, you know. And then there were some kids that are not in Florida at all and like couldn't pick up the bag. So
Wait,
I
what?
like took pictures. Well, the parents were like, we
They're
have
off in
supplies
the
here, so
Hamptons now. They're
I know,
like,
right?
they're like
gone.
at their vacation
But the
home.
school's starting now. I mean, think about this. What if school
you can
starts in person?
you can
know
start
what I
school in the Hamptons. It's fine. Okay, don't worry.
They don't have to send their kid back to in-person learning if they don't want to. So they can stay wherever they are. Some of them are in different time zones. Like they can do
What's the
that.
farthest kid away from you?
I
Yeah.
think the one that I was aware of was a family in Colorado. So
Okay.
they were like a
That's
couple
not
of
too
So,
bad.
so the kids get
behind.
up at 6 a.m.
No, they didn't. They were missing their Zooms.
Oh, they were missing the
They missed their Zooms, you know. But you know, maybe they made it sometime, but I don't know.
That's crazy, though.
I'm just joking. Like I don't really know if they made it or not, but
Yeah.
it's challenging.
So, no, definitely planning for you is definitely has been like my so like I guess now that obviously you're prepping for both sides, right? So I guess every single week have your plan flipped a little bit, or are you just playing week by week and you have your whole lesson plan already? I'm just wondering.
So I'm on a really great team at my school, and we are collaboratively lesson planning. So each of us is responsible for like a different curriculum and like a different part of the learning on the lesson plan. So right now I'm focusing on literacy. I have colleagues focusing on math. We have a social emotional curriculum. We have like a handwriting curriculum.
That's nice.
So we
These
each
groups
split it up.
This is between the same age group or like throughout the...
This is in our age group on my team. Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
have
see.
3 other lead teachers on my team. There's 3 other classes. Yeah.
Oh,
and then
okay. So 13
each class
kids.
has in my class.
Yeah.
But there's one class that has
so you
6
have about 39 kids. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, there's one class that has 16 because it's a bigger space. So they gave
Oh,
her
I
like
see.
a bigger group of kids. But they like looked at the square footage and they tried to like, make it so
Is it
kids
about the
have
same number of students for each age?
No, it gets higher. I mean,
Okay.
like, you've heard of like the class size amendment, like, that's been like a public school thing that they've tried to like to control because classes get big as the kids get older. So
That's true.
yeah,
Oh,
the class size does
it gets
increase.
bigger as you go older.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
our 5th grade was like 35 kids.
I thought it got I
Yeah,
thought it got
5th grade.
I
thought it
thought the
got
class
smaller?
size gets smaller because kids drop out.
They don't drop out until like 11th or
High
12th
school.
grade or like high school. Like
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
I remember.
you're
5th
out of
grade.
touch.
Yeah.
I remember 5th grade we had 35 kids in our class. Recess was fun, let me tell you, because of 35 kids, and
Yeah.
and then middle school classes was about 35, 40 kids as well. But then high school became a little bit smaller, like maybe 25 kids, 30 kids. But I got lucky because my graduating class in high school was about 400 kids. But I know my friend who went to another school, their graduating class was 1,100 kids. I'm like, holy.
Yeah, we had a huge class. I don't know, maybe it was like 600 kids, 700. But in high school, so I went to private school from pre-K until 7th grade, and so
the private school of the 5th grade for me too. Yeah.
yeah, I went till
Oh, wow.
7th grade. So I went into public school when I in 8th grade, and I was like, there are so many people here because
Oh my
in
God.
private school it was literally 30 people every class. Like that's what their size was. Every class had 30 kids in it, and then they only had one class for each grade.
Yeah.
So going out, like leaving private school, going to public school, I'm like, oh, this class is huge. And then going up to high school, like it was big, but it was just like, I don't know. Every year it seemed like less and less students.
Yeah, my flip was that I repeated 5th grade when I came to the States. So I went to a private school, a Catholic private school when I was growing up, and then in 5th grade, when I switched to I repeated 5th grade in the United States, and then I went to public school. I'm like, holy crap, there's so many more kids because in private school, yeah, it was like 20 kids even per class. Everyone
Oh,
knew
you
each other.
were in private school in Venezuela?
Yeah. So literally, like
Uh,
everybody knew each other. We went to each other's birthday party. Like literally, from first grade to fifth grade, it was the same kids
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had the same
Yeah.
thing where like I think it was probably like 20 out of 30 kids were the same every year, and then like there'd be a few people coming in and out each year. But yeah, we all knew
Yeah.
each other from like way back when we were little.
That's crazy though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I guess times have changed for sure though. So all right, well listen, hey, I know that we're coming out short of time, but so just wanted to guess quickly to if you were to I guess take one thing that you will take for I guess from a lesson learned standpoint, this whole pandemic, what would it be? Just wondering. Just patience, I guess, probably one of them.
Go with the flow. That's
Go with the
been
Go with the
like
flow.
flow.
my motto. You gotta
That's
go
good.
with the flow. You really can't like there's so
That's
many
hard.
things out of my control. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super hard. And like one thing that I'm like working on personally is like
Yeah.
having faith, because when there's so much uncertainty and you don't have faith,
Yeah.
it can feel like everything is just like crumbling.
Well,
So
your kids
like
can tell, but by the way, the
yeah,
energy you
yeah.
teach, those kids can pick up in little tiny little details. It's like,
Yeah, they
yeah,
can. They really
yeah.
can. So you have to like just believe that it's gonna be okay, even if you don't quite know.
So what do you tell your kids though? Let's say that they had a rough day, like just wondering, because it happens, frustration happens. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, like, hey, I couldn't raise my hand today. You know, I don't know what my little icon is. Like, how do you? I guess online, how were you able to handle some of the rough days?
Yeah. So yeah, so like anything can frustrate a child, you know?
Hmm.
Like when we think about like coronavirus on like a broader scale and how much our lives have changed, like I don't think kids necessarily get frustrated about that. At my age group, they get frustrated about like the little day-to-days. Like you said, like if they're raising their hand for a long time and I don't see them, which is very
Mm-hmm.
possible when I'm screen sharing, I can't see all of their little faces, and then
Yep.
sometimes they're just like this and I can't see their hand, and so they get upset, and I just like try to redirect, and I let them know like, hey, next time hold it up here so I can see it. I want to hear what you have to say, and
Gotcha.
just trying to like validate them. But when I'm working one-on-one with a child and like they feel frustrated, like this is like very basic, like social emotional work that I do with the kids like regularly, because we talk a lot about feelings and like what happens. So
You
like
kind
if
of,
they're
I guess, like psychiatrists that's for kids as well. That's what it sounds.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So like if they're starting to like feel frustrated, I had one child the other day like just outright say like, I'm frustrated. And I was like, what happened? Can you tell me what's going on? Why are you
Wait, a
feeling that
5 year
way?
told you that?
Yeah, which I thought was extremely astute of him to be able to
Wow.
articulate his
Yeah.
feeling, because a lot of kids aren't quite able to do that. Like they start experiencing
I mean,
the
adults can't
feeling
even
and
do that. We're talking about adults can't even do that.
some adults can't even do that. You're right. Yeah. So like I just, for those kids that can't articulate it,
Yeah.
I talk to them about what I see. I'm like, "Oh, I see your eyebrows are like down and you're frowning. Like you look like you're having
Like
a
a body
strong feeling.
language, you
Are
can
you?"
see that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I point that out to them so that the next time that they're feeling that feeling, they kind of know what it looks like. Maybe they can identify it in somebody else, and then they can articulate what that feeling is. But I'll be like, are you feeling angry? And then we talk about like what's going on, what is it, and then we go from there. So
So
yeah,
that's I mean that's great that I guess you're able to pick up the little body detail because I feel like
you
I mean
have to.
obviously some teachers are able to do the one-on-one, some can't in a sense, and
Yeah.
I think that one-on-one, especially online present, even if it's 10 minutes, like I feel like that kind of it goes a long way. It really does.
Yeah, it really does. And then so that's why like I chose to group my kids in like a little bit of bigger
Yeah,
groups. Like some colleagues I think are doing it like two kids at a time. Like I have them
yeah,
a little bigger so that I can get a little more time with each group, and then
gotcha.
really like be able to like talk to them and like kind of go through like the times that we usually have in the classroom but virtually.
Well, I mean, also it helps kind of have a co-teacher. You can tell once you guys swap the groups, you can probably share notes with the same teachers, so that way they can able to handle. Hey, listen, hey, this may respond this way differently, so
Yeah.
that kind of helps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so one thing that we did in the spring and that we're going to start again here now is like my co-teacher and we had shared documents. We use Google Drive a lot.
yeah,
And so I created a document for each child and we would make notes about how their lesson went so that we could be aware, like if something happened the day prior, like we might talk about it with the child, or like we can be on the same page, because it's very easy for there to be a disconnect
Yeah.
even just like 2 days apart. Like we're switching literally every other day, but if something happens the day prior with the co-teacher and we haven't communicated about it, so like the documentation piece is another thing that like eats up our time, right? So we're planning for in-person, we're planning for remote learning, we're disinfecting, we're with the kids physically, and then we are also documenting.
And on top of that, the admin stuff. Plus more admin stuff as well. So
meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, one of the things, I guess, have you encountered where like a kid telling, hey, I like Mrs. Smith better than you, like, you know, like how do you handle that? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's the co-teacher thing kind of gives a little conflict sometimes.
Yeah. To be honest, I've never really had a kid like outright say it like that, but like,
really?
There's just no, they've never said it like that, but
kids are mean. Let me tell you, sometimes you never know though.
There are some kids that are very mean.
At this age group, they're not quite like that. Like, there's just, you know, teachers have different personalities. Me and my co-teacher are similar in some ways, and we're different in others. And our teaching styles, like teachers have very different teaching styles. So we obviously teach a little bit differently. And there are just certain kids that we might connect with a little more than others. And we obviously are like fostering connections with like every single child that we work with. We want to get to know them and like be engaged with them and like let them feel that we care about them, because we genuinely do. But, you know, there are some kids who are going to look forward to spending time with my co-teacher more than me. And there's some kids who might look forward to spending more time with me than my co-teacher, or like might feel more comfortable approaching either one of us more than the other. Right. And that's just kind of normal, you know. And in that case, like my co-teacher and I've been very lucky. I've had her for all 4 years that I've been at this school.
So you guys are pretty well connected.
We communicate about everything. We're very connected. So it works for us.
That's another thing. I couldn't be a teacher. Like I've always said I couldn't be a teacher because I am not good with really stupid questions. And but another thing would be if any kid said anything rude to me, I don't know, if they're like, oh, I don't like you as a teacher, and I'd be like, I don't like you either. Like I'd be really mean back. So I don't. It's just...
Oh man, yeah. So when they say something that's like not polite, I'll just tell them like that wasn't very kind, or like that's not something that we say. Like I've said that to children before. Like sometimes they do need to know. Like they're learning social graces. Like they're learning how to communicate and interact.
What's wrong? I feel like there's a certain situation that you have to help correct that, and I completely agree with that part.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in pre-K, I used to say what the heck a lot. Like just I don't know where I learned it, but I used to say what the heck all the time, and the teacher would always be like, "We don't say that." And I was like, "That's not a bad word. I don't know what you're talking about." But I had to like retrain myself not to say that in preschool.
It's hard. Some kids do say that. I mean, we've had kids say everything. And when I mean everything, yes, I mean what you're thinking. And like you just have to tell them like that's not language we use at school. And they'll be like, "But my mommy said it," or like, "But I say it at home." And we're like, "Okay." So and then that's when we have to like distinguish like this is school. And at school, things are a little different than they are at home, you know, and that's.
So that way they can at least have to identify the workspace, you know, this is like, this is your work area.
So that's like another thing that you bring up, Robert, like we have to be very careful about like the language that we're using, because we have parents hearing it too. So like, if we say something informally, like we use informal language with these little kids to like create connections and like to help them feel comfortable with us, right? And so like we might be like, I'll say like, what's
what
going
up,
on,
dog?
Little lady? Not quite, Robert, but you're on the right track. So like, you know, we might say like, hey dude, what's happening over there? Like just like in a loving way, but some parents might pick up on that and like not appreciate it, you know, and it's just like, those are the things that we're like trying to navigate too, is like, we're building rapport with the parents while we're building rapport with the kids.
It's kind of tough to balance that, to be honest, though.
It can be tricky.
Are the parents? You said that the parents are not some are engaged and some are not. I remember my mom was very my parents were very engaged. My mom used to be a teacher in Vietnam. My mom was a teacher in Vietnam, so she was always on the teacher's side. So when I went to private school, and she was like, she told me when I got to private school, and she's like, if you go in there and if you're bad, I gave them the ability to spank you if they want to. So I was
Oh my
always
God.
so good in school because I was like, I do not want a spanking from these teachers. But like now I think about it, like there's no way that that's a
No,
thing that you can give them.
you would never have
She
gotten
mind tricked you,
spanked.
man. She mind tricked you.
Yeah, she definitely tricked me.
Yeah, so
Oh
so
my
for
gosh.
me, I remember. So my parents were never really involved in school with me for me. So, and then I remember fifth grade, I punched a teacher in the face, and I got expelled from it. And I just got mad. I
Is
remember
that why you got held back?
Ah,
no, this is
wait, what did you do? I need to know the story.
okay,
You're
okay,
not
okay,
about
okay.
to like
A
blow
little
past
background
it.
story. Okay, so there's a
Yeah.
little background context. So I was being picked on, right? And so the kid threw my glasses, stepped on it, and I punched the kid in the face. And I got in trouble because I punched the kid in the face. And but obviously he started it, right? And the teacher only took the blame on me, and I punched her in the face. So I was like,
Wow.
so I was
Yeah.
like,
While we're at it, let's
Yeah,
just punch
you
the
know, let's
teacher.
punch everyone in the face.
I was just already frustrated because the kid's been picked on me for the past 2 weeks. So for me, I guess everything just went out. I mean, if I guess if someone had talked to me about venting, like I said, that emotional aspect of that, the social aspect of that is a big deal. It really is.
Yeah.
And I kind of how you keep that bringing that up, especially such a younger level. If they
Yeah.
can develop that over and over again, it creates a habit on how to express himself, and then it doesn't bottle up, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like at that fifth grade, I really bottled that up, and then it just burst it out,
Yeah.
And
This is
so
in fifth grade.
this is fifth grade, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this social emotional piece goes like from early childhood and up, right? And like
Yeah.
that's a skill that you could have been working on at like an earlier age, right?
Yep.
And like I had a child last year who really like struggled with his anger. Like he struggled with his feelings, and it took a lot of repetition,
Yeah.
like a lot of practice. They really do have to practice how to deal with it. And so like
Well, being Asian doesn't help though, because we don't talk about.
I had that in pre-K too, where I punched a kid in pre-K and broke his nose. I like,
what?
yeah,
Oh my
I
God, we
broke
got
his
the
nose.
Hulk over here.
Yeah, I was like, I think it was like I had like my best friend, right? My best friend was Tony, and we always hung out together. And then one of the kids was like, Robert and Tony are like boyfriends, and I was like, what? And I punched him, and then
Oh
the
my
teacher
God.
came over and was and
Oh,
yeah, got me in trouble. And I was like, Psh, this teacher, why would she be against me? But then my mom was always on the teacher's side, so it was like, why did you do that?
I feel like I
yeah.
feel like the background where you come from and the culture you come from has an impact to that. And so,
Yeah.
at least for me, I wasn't emphasized that hey, emotionally you have to be able to kind of not only control that in the sense you're just kind of hey, this is actually a big deal, right? This is how you feel, and from a education standpoint, it sounds like you at least in your private school, you just emphasize that a little bit more, and then the parents can see it, and okay, maybe I need, and parents has to be involved in that in order to kind of keep that practice going on, right? So my parents
Yeah.
really have been involved in that side of things already, but then once they found out that I punched a teacher, obviously they got super involved because I got expelled for that semester, and so
They had to get involved. They had to find you a new school. Okay.
well, I mean, at that point it didn't matter because we were already moving to America, so it didn't really matter. So.
Oh, that was
but
right before you moved.
Let bygones be bygones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when but my new fifth grade teacher though, kind of handled, I guess, she knew certain kids were very high level energy wise stuff like that. I can tell that she handled that very well because she purposely grouped the desk differently and balanced the personality. I can tell you, like I remember I had 3 quiet kids in my desk. I'm like, why is this so quiet? And then you have this, and then you had this one quiet kid and 3 loud kids next to them. I think she purposely balanced that.
Yeah, teachers do that. That's like
Yeah.
super important. Like where you like when you have desks, where you place the desks and who you place in the little groups that you make makes a huge difference.
And I remember every single quarter she purposely swap people around so that way you can get to know the kids.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed that a little bit more as I guess because I had her for like everything like from Spanish to biology, whatever it is, in fifth grade, and I felt like that was a little bit handled much better than for me in my private school because I guess it was just single file, in a row. There's not really group work. It's just very old school style. You have five columns, and and then sorry, 5 rows, and you have 4 desks and stuff like that. So like, it's very not very social in a sense. So, but I'm glad that there's different type of schooling that kind of handles that a little bit now. I mean, I'm guessing this is not just special ed, right? This is like very common.
No, yeah, no. This is like any like early childhood setting is gonna
Yeah.
have a social emotional program. Like especially in today's day, I feel like you can't go without one. Like you have to teach kids about how they're feeling, and like any legitimate early childhood program is going
Yeah.
to be doing that in addition to like getting the kids ready for kindergarten. Like one of the things you hear in like public school is like, kindergarten readiness, like did they go to pre-K, did they do Head Start, like,
Do they
and then
even
you have
have a
kids.
pre-K
Wait,
for
is that a
public school?
requirement though? No, hang on. It says
Yeah, it's
requirement
called
though.
Head Start.
But is it a requirement though? Is that a requirement for kindergarten?
It's not a requirement, but it should be. Like children should, and I think some children might not have access to
That's
it,
what I'm saying.
and
Like,
that's
just the affordability behind it's kind of.
it's like an access thing, right? Like it's not equitable for all kids, and like, that's like a social thing, like a social
Also, is it
construct,
like
right? We have to make that available.
So wait, do they
like
have that for public school or no? Do you know?
Yes, it's called Head Start. Head
Start.
Start is like
Yeah.
the publicly funded like pre-K program, and you can opt to put your child in.
That's pretty cool.
Children that come from
so-
Head Start are like
Yeah.
they, for the most part, they're more prepared for kindergarten than children who don't.
I always
Gotcha.
thought kindergarten was like preschool, right? Like, so I thought that was where you would learn it versus, like, I don't know. I don't think I had pre-K. I just had a kindergarten and then went straight into first grade. Like that's where.
Gotcha.
I went to a pre-K. I went to a little pre-K in West Boca, like a little Montessori.
Oh,
pre-K.
so I just googled that Miami-Dade Head Start program. This is pretty interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I worked in Miami-Dade public schools for a few months before I got the job that I'm at now. And like I remember there was a child in my class who was a Head Start student, and he like academically was really great, but emotionally like he couldn't handle his emotions, and like it really interfered with like his progress during the day. And
Yeah.
like that's something that like luckily he was in Head Start, so like already it was being addressed, otherwise like he would have shown up to my kindergarten classroom and been, who knows, like really struggling.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially like you don't know the situation with families, different backgrounds. I
Yeah.
guess it's kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest though, I mean, I don't feel like a lot of people. I guess. I mean, maybe because I don't have a kid yet. I feel like I never went to pre-K before. I'm pretty sure I didn't go to pre-K, but I know that now in kids, as I noticed a lot of my friends already have kids already, and they're like age of 3 and 4, and I noticed that some of the parents just take that heads on themselves to kind of navigate that if they have the time to do it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that there is a public funded program in a sense, and I guess you say this is free, right? It doesn't cost anything for the family.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome though.
Yeah.
But imagine doing this though online. Wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how, like, I mean,
Wow.
I was gonna say, I don't know how the Head Start people are doing it, but I'm doing it.
Yeah,
So
I know that.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, children do not even need to be potty trained to be enrolled. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that's just like.
I mean, we have bathroom accidents too. That's why the parents have to send a full change of clothes every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's typical. In our program, they do have to be potty trained if they want to enroll, but sometimes
Gotcha.
they struggle with it, Sometimes it's difficult for them. So that's when we
Right.
like work one-on-one with the family and like really come up with a way to support.
So I guess if you were to okay, how about this? So we're gonna wrap up a little bit soon. I know time's coming up soon, and some of us have some stuff to do. Lunch.
Okay.
But
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking about you.
No, that's tomorrow because we
That's
were gonna do it
tomorrow?
we were supposed to do this tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
But today I'm
But-
free, so we can go on for like another couple hours. That's fine.
I'm free. I'm gonna have to get a refill soon, but I'm good.
No. So I guess if you were to, I mean, you mentioned in March, right? You had to, last minute scramblings. I guess if you were to pick, I guess one thing that you guys did, you think you did well, what would that be? Like, especially for the last minute thing.
Oh man, one thing I did well was communicate. I feel like I became a secretary faster than I've ever became anything else in my life. Like I had to be able to respond to emails and like share information like as it was coming with the families, and like I had to make sure that they were feeling comfortable and confident. And all of the feedback that I got in the spring was that we did an excellent job with the transition, with the instruction remotely. Like they were very happy with how their children were managing it. They were very happy with the one-on-ones, and like,
That's awesome.
yeah, like I said, flexibility. Like I was super flexible, and I still am very flexible. Like I'm still working hard to, you know, give each family the attention and care that they're seeking, right, for their child.
Yeah. I'm guessing you noticed your work hours gotten longer probably too, especially working remotely in a sense. It happens to all of us too.
It did it. I was like wondering how that would look across like other professions, because for me, like I had very, very little personal time in the fall or in the spring. Like everything that I used to do like in the afternoons, like it went out the window, and I was just like Zooming all day or emailing all day. And then my last email would go out to the parents at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night every day, because that's how we were doing it at the time. We were like sending them our plan for the following day that evening prior. So like leading up to that email.
You're probably in front of your laptop.
Yes, no, I really was. It was my new normal. Yeah. It looks a little different now, but
I mean, obviously because you're probably more prep right now, and then
what have you learned from throughout the process as well? Like, so you talked about what you did well. Like, what did you improve on from last spring to this fall?
I think one thing that I'm improving on is just like finding a balance. Like I cannot do what I did in the spring like long term. Like teacher burnout is extremely real. That's why I ended up taking a gap year 2 years into my career. And like I felt it happening like towards the end of my remote learning.
You could step back and analyze it in a sense.
Yeah, I was like I have to do things for myself. Like I have to, you know, exercise. Like I have to cook dinner. Like I have to do things for me, and like that doesn't make me a worse teacher. That doesn't mean that I don't love and care. If I'm not taking care of myself, like my performance at my job is going to diminish, right? So I did it a little bit in the spring. I was like finding little times to like ride my bike, or you know, like little pockets here and there, but like it was stressful. So I was like, if I'm going to do anything differently now, it's going to be like blocking off time and like doing social distance get-togethers, or like, you know, exercising, like something as simple as that.
And I get that.
Yeah, exactly. Having a life.
You were mentioning, you know, how it's happening in other industry, you know, in consulting. So we gained back that traveling time, right? So we didn't travel every week. So we gained back like 8 or 10 hours, but then I feel like those 8 or 10 hours went to a longer period of time working. So I'm up every day, 5:30 in the morning. Then I'm done by 7 p.m. So I'm like doing 12-hour days easily, 12 to 14-hour days, just because now with the handhold with the client, because we're not there physically, right? So it's harder to build a rapport and a relationship with a client if you're not there physically. So we're giving, I guess, an extra benefit of time, but at the same time, we're not even sure how impactful it is. And so because we're not there physically, just trying to build that relationship. So like one thing that I learned a little bit more from my is that I had to have more one-on-one with a client. Like instead of having meetings, you know, group meetings, just having one-on-one to see how they're doing, and having like almost like a routine checkup in a sense. Hey, you know, this is what I'm working on, and give them the transparency. Like you said, communication, I think is one of the biggest things that I've been trying to emphasize this year on myself. It's that having that transparency, that communication, but it's not just communicating, it's just how you communicate, because I felt like I get frustrated with myself. Like, did she not hear this? I told her 10,000 times already, and probably this is
very like I don't know how you in your professional career is, but Mike, I've told you things multiple times, and you don't
Oh,
even
wow.
remember it. So then now it just comes full circle that you're like, oh
It does.
yeah,
It does.
my client's not
Oh,
listening
wow.
to me.
Okay. So because sometimes I multitask a lot, I tend to miss messages, and I glimpse through it and I forget about it. But yeah, it does happen though. I'm not gonna lie, it does happen. But with a client, I tell them like literally, I message them, email them about it, and I always keep track of meeting notes in a sense with them. But I'm like, I told her that I'm like, so I imagine with kids, you probably do this often as well, right? You repeat yourself over and over again. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
listen, your patience, listen,
Yeah,
hands
with
down,
kids.
probably 10 times much better
Yeah.
than my patient. But for me, I learned to build better patient and better way of communicating in a sense. I'm like, so I not only I reiterate, but I also kind of like change the what's called change the phrasing of it, change the topic of it, change the tone of it in a sense. But I do find myself frustrated though sometimes though. Let me tell you, like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of, I had to learn how to deal with that part. So
Yeah.
For me, it's a
Yeah.
little different because I joined a company right as COVID started. So then, like, I like just meeting people was hard because it's just like you don't have that in the office. Normally, you just like go and you're like going to get
Yeah.
coffee or going to get water or
build that
something, and then
chemistry.
you just like bump into people and then you like
Yeah.
get to know people, right? And you just don't
Yeah.
have that. So there's a lot more effort going into actually building relationships
Yep.
versus where like if I was just in the office, I could just naturally build those
Yeah.
relationships.
Do you find that
Yeah,
hard?
that's been like my saving grace is like having the relationships that I've had at work and like having people that know what I'm going through because they're experiencing it too, just like validate how I'm feeling and like my
Yeah.
experiences, you know? But yeah, that's
Well, I mean,
challenging.
that one of the things I guess for you guys now you're going back to the physical world, which is nice to build that chemistry and actually getting to know the kid, right? Because getting to know the kid online versus in person is night and day.
Yeah.
It is. It's super
Completely
different.
different.
Like when the parent is involved in our small group lessons, it totally changes the dynamic. So
Yeah.
like one of the things I had to tell the parents during back to school night was like, listen, like this is your time for like to turn it over to your child and let us work with them. And like we know that they might seek you for like assistance, but like we're trying to teach them how to cut and how to pick up scissors the right way. So you have to give them that opportunity to try. And so
You need to
if
bend
we
them.
ask them,
Those
yeah,
helicopter
I gave them like a
parents.
little general like hint. Like, so if we
Yeah.
ask your child a question and they don't answer it right away, like one of the things we do is we wait. And that's super hard because like a lot of parents just want to tell their child the answer, right? And just like move on. But like one of the things about teaching is like you give the children time to think about what you just said and like process that. And for like that time varies.
I should kind of follow the same pattern with my client. Give her time to think. I should
Yeah,
do
give
that.
her a
Them
minute
time to think.
process that. You know, it might take a little longer for some people than for others.
You know?
That's okay.
I do. So okay, so there's 3 Michael Wongs in my team, and so no, hang on.
What are the odds?
I know one belongs to a tax team. I belong to the advisory team. The other one belongs to some kind of support team, right? And so one time they had to mix the Michael Wongs. They invited around Michael Wongs to the meetings, and one of the clients says, "Oh, you invited the 140-mile Michael Wong meeting. This is the wrong Michael Wong. You should have invited the tax Michael Wong." And then I'm like, "What?" So obviously I speak fast, right?
Yeah,
And
I knew exactly what you
Wow.
meant when you said that, by
and
the
so
way. You
it's
just
really
have to
funny
say
though. Yeah. So it's really funny because and then my client, my counterpart, she's like, you should have a meeting to have invite all 3 Michael Wongs and then invite the head of the program of the project into the meeting to see if she can find out which Michael Wong.
Which Michael Wong is which?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's really funny though.
Michael Wong's gotta be a pretty common name, right? Because I have a Michael Wong who lives in my building. One of my neighbors. It was also
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I didn't know that until I joined a corporation. Like, and back in when I was in West Center, I met 2 of Michael Wong. I was getting their email in the beginning. Just like when my current company right now, I remember my first day at work, I was like, I'm getting partners email. I'm like, so apparently in LA, there's a partner named Michael Wong. And I'm like, I should not be getting this email at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That to me doesn't seem like it would be a common name because like having like kind of like an American name with like an Asian last name,
I don't know, but like American, Asian, like Asians who come over here, Michael is like a very popular name.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael,
I didn't know
in
that.
Vietnamese, it's Kevin. Kevin's very popular as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think in Asian
watched
culture, in Asian culture, Josh, Kevin, Michael, and there's one more. What was it? Tyler? No, not Tyler. There's one more. Like there was like a very common like names that they just pick out just because it's just easier to pick just instead of having that full Asian name, just easier
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I just finished watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't know if you guys watched that or not. Probably
not
not.
yet.
But it's very entertaining, super funny, and the winner was from Asia, like an Indian descent, and she was born Mark. And so she she goes by Priyanka. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I didn't realize that was such a common thing. She was like explaining, yeah, my brothers are Steve, Chris, and John. And I'm like, whoa,
What?
like, but she gave herself the name Priyanka.
There's pockets in India that are like, that were like Christian, like they have like Christian influence. So then they name all their people like American or like English names.
Yeah.
So it's
okay.
very weird.
My parents.
It's interesting.
My dad. You know, obviously he grew up in South America, right? So he gave himself his name Mario, and I asked him like, Dad, what'd you call yourself Mario for? It's like, oh, I just love to play Mario Super Nintendo game back in the days.
Hell yeah!
That was his reason, and I'm like, okay, all right.
My brother,
Instagram handle is like Super Nintendo Queen. Like, I'm here for it.
My brother came over here when he was in high school, and he loved the name Calvin, right? So he went by because he liked Calvin Klein, so he was like, I'm gonna name myself Calvin, and then he had a kid, and I think he named his kid Calvin, and then he changed his own name to Kevin. I don't know what happened.
It's very funny.
So changing names is like a thing. Like,
I don't know. I guess so.
So wait, does that happen with your kids still in school? Like, do you guys have nicknames for your kid? Or do they have nicknames for each other in the classrooms?
Some kids just go by a nickname.
Yeah.
I remember when I taught in public school, when I taught third grade, I had a little boy from Pakistan, and the parents were like, "You can call him Zach." And I was like, no, what? Like, I was like, I'll call him his name. Like, we'll learn his name. Like I felt like they were just saying that to kind of like appease like me, and because he was the only boy from Pakistan in the class. But I was
maybe
like, no,
culture wise, it's just socially wise, probably, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. But we called him his real name all year, and they were okay with it. Like, I think, you know, like
especially like young kids, like like they're easy to like adjust how they think about.
Yeah, and I wanted him to feel accepted. Yeah, and like we did talk a lot about like differences. Like every teacher, I think, talks a lot about like acceptance and like
culture wise and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
How diverse is your current class? Just wondering, is it very diverse?
I don't know exactly like where the families are from, but like I have one girl that speaks mostly Spanish. So like during morning meeting, I'll ask a question and then she'll raise her hand and it's all in Spanish. And so I try to validate her by like I also want her to feel included.
But how do you get that to translate? Just wondering.
So usually I'll like repeat what she said in like a question format in English, and then I might like say something else in Spanish so that the other kids understood what she said. But I'm also kind of like continuing the conversation with her a little bit.
What if you didn't speak Spanish? I mean, that would have been hard.
It would be a little challenging, and not everybody at my school does speak Spanish. So it's just part of being a teacher. Like you're gonna get some kids, like there's a big Brazilian population at our school. Like I don't speak Portuguese. Like I had a little girl last year who would cry and like sometimes Portuguese, you know, and I would just, you know, listen, like she also was articulate
can't comfort
in
them,
English.
especially online. It's hard to comfort somebody online. You know, they can just shut your laptop down and just be and run away.
That's where we're like, we need the parent support. Like last year in the spring when I was Zooming, I had a little girl who literally like fell off her stool, and like thank God her mom was there because she was crying, and I was just like on the other end, like
that type of stuff. Yeah, you just like stuff that like normally physically you'd be able to help with, but like when you're virtual, there's no way for you to even like help, right?
Yeah.
That's gotta be
Yeah, we're
difficult.
just not there. So, the parents who are there, they help, but it's a balance because they
So
can't
it's,
help too much because then they're doing the project.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I think
So
I
like
think part
sometimes
of it, the way you guys said that the expectation is probably different way this year. Like you said, having that
yeah, and
balance.
yeah. So like yeah, sometimes we do, like I said, I had to tell the parents like let the kids have a chance to do it, but before I was able to like have that meeting with the
Yeah.
parents, like we would be like celebrating our work at the end and I'd be like, "Oh, like great job, Juan. Great job, Mrs. Sanchez. Like we're all like high fives like around the board." Like, I'm just,
I,
acknowledging
I
that
can see
everybody's
this.
there.
I can see this where once you started having kids come back physically, I think there's gonna be a huge FOMO for kids online, and they're gonna be like, oh, and they're gonna ask the parent, I want to go back to class. I want to go back to class. There's gonna be a huge FOMO. I can see that
Yeah,
happening.
there might be for those kids that are still remote. There
Yeah.
very well may be.
Yeah,
And
I think, yeah, that's true. Like if you see all these other kids like playing with each other,
Each other
like
interacting
live,
with each other. Yeah.
and then
yeah.
you're at home, like you're like, my mom doesn't even is not even here. She's working.
Yeah. Well, so that's interesting. So like in our schedule, we have like the morning meeting part where the kids are
Yeah.
all together and like we're doing our whole group lesson, but then the kids are not going to be on the Zoom when we do our small group time, which is when we break out the games. And like because we just can't control what they're going to see, right? And we have to also like respect the privacy of those kids who are working and like their academic
Also, you're
progress
not
is
gonna have like a
private.
live cam all the time. You're saying.
Not all the time, just during
Okay.
like our whole group morning time and like snack time even, like we'll keep it on, but like also we don't want, I mean, like what are they going to be doing while we're doing small group? Like we
But
set up
but
independent
wouldn't they
centers for the
have?
kids. Like they don't have that.
But
Like
wouldn't they have the, I guess, activities though during that time as well?
so that's the thing, like when
Yeah.
we're doing activities with the kids, like first of all we want it to be fun, like we want to
Yep.
try to get them as engaged as possible, and really like our main job is like we're hitting an objective, like
course.
a learning objective.
Yeah.
So since the kid is not in the classroom with us, like they're not going to be,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to like work with them on the same level, like
Yeah.
they just like, let's say I'm playing a game, I have a board game in my classroom, like they
Yep.
might not have that at home, so
Yeah,
then
that's true.
I have to find something else that's going to hit the same objective. So we have like objectives that we plan out for every day for our teacher center, and what we're doing is we're translating it to the remote learners. It's not going to
So that
look
way
the
both
same
sides has
every
it in a
single
sense.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see.
exactly.
So you're not
Yeah.
having like these small groups where like two kids are live and then one kid's on a screen and then you guys move each
There's
other
there's no
around.
interaction. Okay.
No,
Oh, that's what I thought
no.
was happening.
Me too. So do I.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
no,
So I
we
guess they're not gonna
can't.
have
It's
the
just,
FOMO though. I guess they're not gonna have the
it's
FOMO.
just, yeah, it's just that we have to respect like the privacy of the kids who are in person. Like that child who's at home, they might have a parent nearby who's seeing how all of his peers are doing, and like
Gotcha.
that's private to those families.
Hey, I thought you were gonna wear a GoPro going live all the time.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like,
doing
yeah.
like fishbowl mode, you can see like
Yeah.
everything.
You see everything, like everything you're
I don't
doing,
do
like
that.
they see, and then you have like
Oh,
TVs
man.
everywhere that you see all the kids what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh my God. That would be kind of cool. Like I would be interested to see what that would look like. Like teaching really is like an adventure. Like you never know what is gonna get thrown at you that day. So it's
Well,
fun.
listen, I know that we're coming up short of time. So is there anything, I guess, if you were to give a parent advice, with this kind of situation going, you can kind of foreshadow this already a little bit where you start online, going physical, and then you go back to online. Is there, if you were to give parents advice, especially for new parents, because I have a lot of, especially a group of friends, we have a lot of new parents that this is the first time dealing with this, and then there are new parents on top of that, right? So what kind of advice you would like to give them? Just wondering.
I would say, I mean, that's really hard. I would say, do what you feel is right for you and your family. Like you don't have to do, if you have the option to go remote or to go in person, you don't have to do what other families are doing if you don't feel comfortable with it, right? And just, be open with the teacher, like let the teacher know anything that's going on. Like the more we know, the more we can support the child when we're working with them, right?
You can't be demands.
Yeah, and just take it easy, like take care of yourself too. Like if you guys are having a really rough day and like your child can't connect, like it's okay, like we're gonna be okay.
Mm.
So I think that's like a big thing, like we've already talked about like social emotional, but
Yeah.
like I think everybody just needs to take care of themselves like emotionally, and then everything's gonna work out, but do what's right for you,
I like how you have faith. That's great to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
faith is
been
good.
wavering. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
I'm human. It's hard to keep it all the time, but
So,
it's coming
so,
back.
so jumping into that, I guess we're gonna end the session with our venting session. So if you wanna kick off that. You have anything? Do you wanna vent it on your chest to get that emotional,
Yeah. Do you have anything that
Yeah.
you wanna get off your chest?
Oh my gosh, what do I want to get off my
Or it could
chest?
be, or it could be something completely different, not related to school or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Just,
something
just
related to school,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
is
Oh
on your
my
mind.
gosh, I honestly like. I don't know what to vent about. Like I could vent about anything. Like if I am
Nice.
Oh,
annoyable, I
should
will
we
get annoyed
wait?
by
Should
anything.
we give you a topic and then you just vent on it?
How
'Cause
about
I can come up with a topic.
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know how I feel
I'll
about
start with my
that.
event. Okay. While you think about it, I'll start with my event. So
Okay, you do your
yeah,
event. Go.
okay. So my event is that I noticed that I've been back and forth for the past week or so, and literally it's like 9 day difference between California and Florida, but I feel like literally COVID doesn't exist here. Like, and for me, and I'm like, guys, this did not disappear overnight. Like, it doesn't. It's just so. For me, it's a little sense of frustration where like maybe because people just stop caring or just mentally or what kind of just worn out, right? And the fact that no one really cared in a sense kind of frustrating in a sense because I don't mind, obviously, follow your due diligence in a sense, keep yourself safe, wear a mask when you go to restaurants, and or try to keep it, your group gathering less than 5 people, things like that, right? Like that's okay because we're still in a pandemic, But let me tell you, I've seen situations here in Florida already, like where they don't give up,
They
just
don't.
anything.
They don't
They
care.
don't. Yeah. So
People gotta get back to work, Mike. All right,
that's true.
you can't stifle the people the way you're
There
trying
has
to.
to be a balance, though. I'm telling you, man, there
Oh
has to
my
be a balance.
gosh.
Like
No, wait, I will say that I've seen videos online. I can't remember. It's this guy who dresses up in like a tan suit. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, but he has a microphone and he just shows up places. And I can't remember what his little tagline is. He has like a little show, but he just like talks to people, and he's been going to like parties this summer, like straight up like 4th of July, like huge
house parties.
gatherings.
Wow.
Yeah, like just massive, and people like no regard. And then he's like talking to people about the coronavirus, and they're like, is it even real? These people are like asking, they're like, do you even know anybody with the coronavirus? Like to them it's like not real. Like
That's crazy, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very crazy.
I
Yeah.
don't like that like that questioning where like I don't know anyone who has coronavirus, so I don't like I'm not doing anything.
don't care.
I don't like
Yeah.
that because once you know someone, then you probably got it. Like
It's too late. It's just too late.
that's too late. Yeah, you don't
Oh
want
man,
that
you're
for.
so right.
Yeah, it's
So
too
right.
late. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I know about 45 people that I know that have corona. Okay, and they're all.
45 people?
I mean, they're all.
Wong, how many people do you know?
I don't even know if I know 45 people in
I'm
my
like,
life.
Well, so
I know like 3 or 4.
So I messaged people to see how they were doing, in a sense, especially in New York City, right? So I have a lot of friends in New York City, and I know that pandemic hit hard in New York City first. And so the people who, half of the people who got, COVID, they were okay after a couple of days. So there were mild symptoms in a sense, right? And maybe out of the 4 or 5 people, one had a severe case where they had to go to the hospital for one day. So in a sense that what, because for me I was very curious about the situation in a sense, because New York was doing everything right, trying to get everyone tested, start shutting everything down. So I really wanted to get as much hands-on details as much as I can, finding out who actually had it, what happened, what the symptom was, because I had a frustration of news media playing this to a whole different extreme. So you know what, let me try to dig down and let me find out who had corona. I'm going to try to within my circle of friends first, and then I'm going to try to find out with their circle of friends to see who had it and gather some information for myself, because I felt like that kind of gave me a sense of, okay, how serious this could be. Because if I had to go ask, one tier circle of friends, and then they don't have anything, then I has a second tier support, like, different degree of freedom. I had to go further out. I'm like, okay, I'm becoming suspicious. But then within my own circle of friends, I found out that many people had it, right? So at least now I had a sense of, I guess, of how serious this could be. And so that's how I gathered the number in a sense. I mean, I asked
I
about
think
maybe 100 people. So it's a lot, though.
you asked 100 people and you got 40 people to say they had it.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's a lot.
40% of your
That's
friends got coronavirus.
crazy.
I don't even know if I want to be your friend anymore. Like, that's a high percentage.
Count me out.
Yeah,
tapping
I'm
out.
done. I'm done. No, I think I don't even know.
I haven't seen any of them though. Those 45 people at all, and for like past 5 years though. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
That's different though.
I mean, if you count like The Rock, I know people who have coronavirus.
no celebrities though. I'm talking about
I have. Yeah, I think I might know actually like one or two people who got it. Like not too many, but they're like very far removed. I don't know anybody like very close to me.
like, so, see, you're saying that pretty much like second degree of freedom, third degree, right? So it's different, right? So for me, those 45 was like I say probably 30 of them was first degree, and then 15 of them was second degrry. So yeah.
I know, but like 30 out of 100 is still a lot of people, Mike.
Not really, because for me, but that kind of that's the reason why for me I took it a little bit more seriously in a sense, because I kind of find out what kind of symptoms they had. And a lot of them couldn't tell the difference until they took the test, though, to be honest. They couldn't tell the difference between the flu because there were mild symptoms. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
I have a friend who had coronavirus back in April, and she's been battling with it ever since. She's a long hauler.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have read about them, but
There are some of those for sure, yeah.
yeah, she still struggles with like fevers during the day. I asked her, I was like, please tell me what you experience as a long hauler. And she was like, first of all, like, I can't remember short term. Like, I forget things so easily. She says that she has like very fair skin. She says when she like walks to her kitchen, her skin will be mottled, and like she looks like a spider web. You can see like every single vein in her body.
That's crazy.
And
God.
she gets exhausted so easily. And like one of the things she said that stuck with me was that she knows what it feels like to be an old person, because she has to plan her day around when she showers, because it's so exhausting for her to take a shower that she has to just like lay for 3 hours.
So she hasn't
and just
fully
like
recovered in a sense that where she has gained her energy back, or body's still probably balanced.
no, like her body, she tells me it's like an autoimmune thing now. And I'm like,
Wow,
I
really?
believe you. Yeah. Like I don't think she's making that up, and
Yeah.
she's definitely
Yeah.
trying to fight something. Her body is having a reaction to something. But
Well, and that's the reason why for me my event was like, guys, this pandemic did just not disappear overnight.
It's not.
Listen,
It's real. It's a real
it's
thing.
real. So listen, I flew a couple times with the pandemic, but at least I do my due diligence and let me take a test first to make sure that I'm not affecting anybody else's, right? So at least I take my test a couple of days before I fly. Okay, I'm negative. I'm okay. I'm gonna go, and then at least I'm trying to do my due diligence, make sure that I'm not. If I'm impacted, I'm not affecting anybody around me. So, and I don't
you're
think
being
people,
responsible.
Yeah,
You know?
but imagine if everybody could be responsible for that, at least that kind of extreme, to at least that little bit more.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
It's
so
too
Robert,
much to ask for some people.
Too much to ask some people.
Yeah.
So, what's your event?
So my event, we touched on it a little. It was Mike just doesn't remember stuff. Like there's times when we're like doing podcast stuff and I'm like, oh hey, I uploaded our video, we're doing all this, I did this and this and this, and then I don't know, maybe a couple hours later he comes back
couple
and
days
is
later, couple days later, not a couple hours.
it could be a couple days, it could be a couple, but it's like 3 lines up in the chat, right? Like it was like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And some of it's like, oh, we upload stuff, it sends you an email, I text you, and like everything, like there's like multiple steps. I'm like, and then you came up with your event of like you were like talking about your coworkers, and I was like, or your clients, and I was like, this is just the kettle calling the pot black. That's all. I was like, I was like, oh my god, Mike.
Hey, listen, I admit it. Because I've been trying to work on multitasking. So one of my things is that I tend to do multiple things at a time, where sometimes I just need to get focused one thing, and so it's kind of like I've been trying to narrow that down a little bit more, so I'm working on that. Okay.
Yeah.
There's also been studies that say like we literally can't multitask. Like there's no like we are never multitasking.
I
Actually.
Let me tell you something about that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
interrupt you,
Go
Mike,
ahead.
because yesterday I'm gonna tell you how I'm about to like put my life out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I invited my coworkers to come over to help me pack up my apartment. I started yesterday. Okay.
Mhm.
When I got home, I was multitasking to this extent. I was like communicating with people from the apartment complex and like figuring out how to sign my lease. I was in the process of reading my lease. I ordered them pizza while I was trying to do that, like like virtual and like delivery. And then I was like trying to get a renter's insurance policy on my Progressive app. And I was trying to do all that shit in addition to packing my life into boxes.
See,
like,
it's doable. See, Robert. See, it's doable.
But let me tell
No,
you,
but
the
like,
level
no,
of productivity is very low. It was
Yeah.
extremely difficult.
They say like you're actually switching from one thing to another versus actually doing all of them at once, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really like you're not on the phone like ordering like talking to your landlord and talking to the insurance company at the same time.
No,
Like, it's not really
well, no,
multitasking,
you're right.
but you are
Well,
doing you have multiple things on your mind doing it.
Yes.
Like, and you have to
No, well,
get
I
done.
had a friend call me while I was like trying to do all this stuff, and I was telling her, and I was reading through the like renter's insurance policy, and I was like, I'm just trying to order mold. I was like, wait, what I say?
Mold?
I'm trying to order pizza. I'm like, I can't. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I'll call you later.
Yeah.
I agree to a certain degree. I think there's certain tasks you could multitask, but there's certain tasks you just can. So for me, I was like, so with the pandemic situation, I was trying to, do my side hustle at the same time, and I was dealing with a client, and then I'm like, oh crap, I need to make sure I upload this podcast stuff ready, prep this stuff, make sure this is prepped, because I tend to, schedule stuff. And so for me, it was like, I was trying to do two things with two different laptops on top of that. So I was talking to Robert one chat, and I was talking to my client the other chat, and I was like, Robert, did you do this yet? Sometime, and I tend to like not read his stuff because it just
just don't
Wow.
care. Like,
Okay.
I don't care.
He admits it.
Yeah.
I admit it. Listen, I made my
just don't
mistake.
care what Robert
I tend
says to me.
not read his stuff. Those are his words.
No, it's
Wow.
not. It's not that I don't read his stuff. It's just that I didn't have time to do it, to read it. So therefore, like, or maybe I browse through it and then I forget about it and just go back to do another task.
He also is really bad at remembering what he's said. So like he'll actually like
those are
read
the
it.
craziest
He'll actually like read it and respond, and then come back and ask the question, and you're like, I thought you confirmed, like you confirmed.
Or did I ask this question already? So sometimes I myself doubt. I'm like, did I ask this question already? I'm like, let me ask this again just in case I forgot to ask.
Oh my god. Or you could take a minute and scroll up and find
That's true.
it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Just
He does do that a lot, where you're like, oh, it's up, just look up, and he's like, just tell me, because
just tell me. Yeah, he does that in other group chats. Okay, don't worry, you're not alone, Robert.
All right, so Michelle, what's your event?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got a couple events here. I've like thought about it.
All right, there we go.
Okay,
I like
the first
this.
one's more of like kind of a funny story, but like
Okay.
not so funny, but I'm trying to look at it on a funny angle.
Yeah.
So like in the middle of like all this stuff happening in the last couple of weeks in my personal life, my AC broke on like a Saturday night, and my friend let me stay with her.
Horrible.
Yeah,
In
it was
Florida?
terrible. Yeah, we
Oh
got
my
home
God.
at like 9:00 at night from like hanging out, and the AC was busted. My friend was like, you can come over, like bring your cat, like you're totally welcome here. I was like, thank you, you're an angel. And so I like parked, whatever. The next day I'm at work and I'm leaving work. This was a Sunday. Yes, teachers work over the weekends, believe it. And I'm leaving work and I see a dent on my hood, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how did this get here? And I like text my boss immediately. I'm like, look at this, like happened at work. Like, where did this come from? And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to reach out to like our guy. Like find out how this could have happened. I was like, are there cameras? Like, I want to know like if anybody did this, but it wasn't like on the side. Like, it wasn't like something hit my car. It was like on the front. I was like, did somebody really like dent my hood or no?
Jumped on your hood or something.
Yeah, I'm like, somebody just like hopped off my hood, whatever. No, when I went back to my friend's place to get my cat, I'm like looking at the parking spot, and like there's a tree. And I look on the ground and there's a fucking coconut on the ground. I pick up the coconut. It fits perfectly in the dent. And I'm like,
Oh
I
my
fucking had a
God.
coconut fall on my car and dent my hood. I'm like, and that, ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen, is 2020 in a nutshell for me.
Coconut.
Fucking
Coconuts,
coconut
dang.
denting my car. I'm like, all right, you know what? And I'm not even gonna get it fixed because like I'm on a budget now. I'm like, you know what?
You
Now
should
my
try
car has
the you
character.
should try the heater thing. It'll pop itself.
Yeah,
up
no,
after.
you heat it up and then you
Heat
can
it up.
pop it out.
With
You pop it
what?
out.
A blow dryer?
Yeah, blow dryer.
Yeah, with a
and
blow
then
dryer,
blow
and then you
dryer.
go from the underneath
Or use
and like
hot
push
water.
it.
Or you can boil a bunch of hot water and just.
Yeah, it's
pour
gotta
it
be really hot though, and then you
It's
can push it.
really
in.
hot though, yeah. And it just
Oh.
pops back up. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good tidbit to know because I also ordered a simple human trash can, and I don't know if you know about these trash cans.
My roommate had one of those and it sucks.
No, I have like the new like sensor one, and let me tell you something. It doesn't suck. It's just it opens a lot. All right, whatever.
No,
So-
the battery dies. The battery dies too fast. The battery dies for me.
I've had it for a month, and I mean, I don't know. It's only been a month, and it's been.
So from my roommate got one 2 years ago. No, a year ago, right? And we kept changing the battery every single 2 weeks. I'm like, what the heck's going on?
All right,
2
yours
weeks.
is a lemon. Yours is a lemon.
Yeah,
mine,
you gotta send that
No,
back.
Yeah, that's
she
not
sent it back.
good.
So she sent it back, right? And she got a new one. And then it kept happening. I'm like, so we stopped putting battery in. We just use it as a regular trash can.
Oh no, that's terrible. No.
No,
seriously,
there's
though.
others. I bought one online that was not. I don't know. It wasn't super simple human. It was some. It was just a one on Amazon, and it works perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
Yeah,
But how often
no,
do you
that's what
buy
I
them?
did. I bought it on Amazon, but they delivered it through UPS. And like at my old apartment, there was a gate, and UPS didn't have the code. Like they don't. There's not like a universal code anymore.
Yep.
So it was like going back and forth from the truck to the gate, back to the truck for like a week and a half. And when I finally got it and took it out the box, it had a giant fucking dent on the front, and I was like, great, yeah. So I was just like, but I'm gonna try your trick. I know, I'm telling you, I've had the worst luck. Like I need to stage my new apartment tomorrow. Palo Santo, everything, like crystals.
Hey, make sure you do the feng shui thing. You know, you look at where you put your bed, all the feng
feng
shui
shui.
stuff. You know.
1000%, man. I'm like,
Well, listen, Michelle. Listen, I know times, it's crunch time for you. I know you have to go soon. So, but we appreciate having you on. Is anything you want to plug in? Just wondering.
yeah, one plug I have, and I'm totally gonna go there, and I'm not trying to open a can of worms, but arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. That's all I have to say.
It's been a while. That's for sure. It's been what, 6 months?
It's unacceptable.
7 months
It's
now?
unacceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
not okay.
That's one thing that is kind of like, it makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense at all.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. So
Yeah.
that's
We can
something
get-
that's ongoing. The Black Lives Matter movement is still happening. Like I know it's been politicized, but to me, it's like a human thing. Like
Right.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So and Black people and people of color are treated differently by law enforcement, by the government. So
That's for sure, especially in the South, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, listen. Hey, I think this is a great insight. By the way, hopefully you have an amazing, going back to school physically.
thank you.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. Thank you guys for asking me to come. Like this.
This is actually very awesome for us to kind of understand that world, because I feel like
Yeah.
a little black hole for us, and we're just trying to see how the teacher doing it emotionally, how they're handling things, logistics as well. I mean, obviously, great to give it for granted, in a sense that everyone probably does it differently because different school level, different type of school, and it's probably just different in general, right? Especially with this kind of situation. So I guess as everything gets opened back up more, I'm sure things gonna pivot. So,
yeah. On Tuesday, when the kids come back on Tuesday, everything's gonna change again. So
yeah.
One thing I'm thinking about, like, what kids today are gonna say, where like our parents or like our grandparents were like, oh yeah, we walked to school uphill both ways in the snow. What are the kids gonna say for like their problems that they had is the struggle in school, right? It's like, oh man, I couldn't unmute.
I couldn't raise my hand.
I couldn't
teacher
raise
didn't
my
see me.
hand.
my teacher turned off my camera.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I get kids that do that. Like, that is real, okay? I swear. am tempted.
Oh,
Very
that's really
tempted.
funny though.
Yeah. It's
Well,
fun.
again, thanks for those who are listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have another episode. Michelle's gonna hop back on another podcast episode for another different topic. But again,
Yeah,
Michelle,
I'll be back.
thanks for your time. Appreciate it, though.
Thank you guys so much. I'll see you
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah,
you.
like and subscribe.
Oh
See
yeah,
ya.
like and subscribe, please. Don't forget about
Like,
that.
subscribe, and comment.
There you
Yes,
go.
there
Yeah.
you go. All right,
There you
see
go.
you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Gluten-Free Organic Thoughts podcast. As always, we appreciate you. If you are watching us on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this episode, and leave us a comment. If you are listening to us, please leave us your honest review on your preferred podcast listening platform. And as always, you can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GFOT Thoughts. Drop a comment and give us some feedback. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, see you then.